Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto has a wolf partner. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by rosymalik, link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Naruto had been running for quite some time. His small legs hurt and his heart was pounding to the point it felt as if it was about to burst out of his chest. Earlier some villagers had attacked him and although he had managed to get away he just couldn't seem to stop running. He was afraid that if he stopped they would find him and hurt him. His face was littered with bruises and his hair was blotched with blood. His knees were scrapped and there was dried blood running down his legs. He was heaving running in the dark forest, not caring where he was going as long as it was away. He tripped over a tree root and laid there in the dirt. His whole body ached and the adrenaline that had kept him going was finally leaving his system. His muscles ached and felt as they were being torn apart. He tried to get up, but his arms were so weak and wobbly that he just collapsed once more. By now he was feeling the stinging of his cuts and pulsing on his bruises. He laid there taking deep breath and realizing he wasn't in the village anymore. From the ground he started to look around and realized he didn't even know where he was. He's often played in the forest but never this deep in it. He couldn't help but feel scared, was he ever going to find his way home? Tears swelled in his eyes as he held back a sob. That's when he heard something in the trees. His blood ran cold as he heard low growling. He tried to get up but couldn't manage. He heard a low growling and he looked around desperately trying to find where it was coming from. That's when something heavy tackled him down. The second he opened his eyes he regretted. A large wolf glaring down at him with striking yellow eyes. He let out a cry, this was it, the big scary wolf was going to eat him. The wolf instantly stopped growling and cocked its head to the side. Naruto couldn't stop crying now, his body trembled as he sobbed. The wolf slowly backed away and sat in front of him observing him. Naruto felt the weight off his chest and opened his eyes once more. The wolf had white, gray, and black fur and was sitting in front of him. He sat up and stared at the wolf, but his tears kept pouring down his face. The wolf laid down and got on its back, it wagged its tail and tried to act playfully. Naruto sniffled and wiped his tears before smiling slightly. The wolf sat up and nudged Naruto's hand. Naruto was confused but pet the wolf. Up, are you lost? He heard a voice and his head eyes widened. What was going on? I asked if you were lost, a pup like you should be in your den with your Kasen at this time of night. The wolf spoke telepathically again. Naruto opened his mouth. I don't have a Kasen. He stuttered, being that was all he understood from the question. The wolf sat up. Naruto noticed the size of the wolf. It was about 4 feet tall and had big paws. You're hurt. Come pup, I'll be your Kasen. The wolf spoke and picked him up from his shirt and placed him on her back. Naruto was taken back but didn't say anything. He just nuzzled his face in the soft warm fur and dozed to sleep. When Naruto woke up he was in a room. He sat up and noticed all of his wounds had been bandaged. He was on top of a bed made of animal furs. You're awake. He quickly turned and noticed a tall curvy woman. Her hair was different shades of white, gray and black, her eyes a golden yellow, her skin a dark sun-kissed tan. Up, you were hurt, what happened to you? She asked as she carried a plate of herb and meat soup. Who are you? He asked, scared from not knowing where he was. She smiled softly as she sat on the bed and lifted the spoon. Yesterday you said you didn't have a Kasen, so I told you I'd be your new Kasen. She smiled as she spoon-fed him before he could reply. Naruto's eyes widened at the warm homemade soup and quickly ate it. But the one who said that was a wolf. He stated in disbelief, wolves didn't speak. You mean last night? That was me. She smiled as 2 wolf ears popped up and he gasped. Wow miss, so you're a wolf? He asked and she smiled and nodded. Yes, but I know ninjutsu so I can change into a human to blend in. She smiled as she fed him another spoonful. Where are we? He asked looking around noticing the window. We are near the village of Konoha. I live in this human house because it's a good shelter. She smiled as she kept feeding him. I'm from the village, the old man gave me an apartment there. He stated. From the village? Then why were you so injured? She asked confused. She had learned ninjutsu, taijutsu and jinjutsu from that village and sometimes did missions to earn some money, but children were well taken care of there. They don't like me. I don't know why. He sniffled as he looked down at his hands. She cocked her head. So humans have the concept of disliking the runt of the group as well. SHH, don't worry about it pup. You don't have to concern yourself with everyone's opinions. If you do you'll never be happy. She stated, ruffling his head. Now pup, tell me more about you. She said as she gave him another spoonful of food. Naruto looked up at her, a small smile on his face. My name is Naruto, what I like is. He stopped in mid-sentence and thought about what he was going to say. So Naruto, what do you like? She asked. He thought for another moment before he spoke up. I like the old man from Ichiraku Ramina and his daughter. He smiled happy with finding he liked from the village. Well done pup, my name is Kiro. But you can call me whatever you like. And this can be your bedroom, you can do whatever you see fit in here. She smiled softly at him. Really? Thank you Ka-san. He smiled as he looked around. You don't have to thank me, as your Ka-san it's my job to get you everything you need. She smiled and Naruto's eyes widened. Yeah, he knew the old man took care of him, but this was different. Thank you Ka-san. He mumbled out, tears slipping down the side of his face. The woman giggled and licked his cheek, her tongue was a rough texture and warm. Don't cry pup. Now rest up, you're about 5 or 6 springs old, you should learn how to hunt and play in the woods. She smiled as she shifted into her wolf form. Naruto smiled as he wiped his cheek and giggled. If his mother was a wolf, did that make him one too? Naruto is gonna be so cutie, I can't wait to start this fanfic, please tell me what you think. Chapter 2. Naruto Pav. You see this plant, it looks a lot like this one, but you can't eat it, it's bad for you. Mama said as I leaned down to take a good look at it. So I can eat this one but not this one. I say as I was on all fours and looking at both of them up close. Mama nodded. Now if you sniff it you can smell the difference, this one you can't eat smells bitter, while the one you can eat smells sweet. Mama stated and I sniffed the plants. I closed my eyes and tried to concentrate. I could slightly smell the difference. Okay mama, I'll make sure not to eat this one. I say as I pointed to the bitter smelling one. I could see mama straighten up as she continued walking. I followed close behind. I was happy with mama, she was nice and taught me many things. She also fed me every single day and made sure my tummy didn't rumble anymore. She also taught me many things. Like hunting and fishing, I wasn't the best at them, but I was good enough that she praised me about what a good pup I was. There you see that right there? That's a paw print, a rabbit was here. She spoke as she leaned down and sniffed the ground. I trotted behind her clumsily and took a closer look. Can you tell which way it went? She asked as I leaned down and sniffed. That way. I say pointing towards the scent. Mama smiled and nodded. Then we follow it, today I'll observe while you hunt. She smiled and I quickly began chasing the smell. Mama had made sure I learned how to stay quiet so that I didn't scare the rabbit away. I glanced at Mama for her approval and she gave a small nod. I lowered myself into the bushes and took a deep breath, letting out a breath. I got down on all fours and waited to pounce. The rabbit looked around and went back to eating and I pushed myself forward. I managed to hold it down with my 2 hands. The rabbit squirmed as I tried to keep him down. I leaned down and bit it while holding it down and grabbed my kunai. I quickly pulled my face back and slit the rabbit's throat. I let out a sigh of relief and held up the rabbit. Mama look, it's dinner. I smiled widely and she nodded as she came out of the underbrush of some thick weeds. How would you like to eat your prey today, pup? She smiled as she took the rabbit from my hands and held it in her mouth. I want it in a soup mama, your soups are always the best. I squealed in excitement as Mama began leading me back to the den. I followed behind her with a big smile on my face. Mama was proud of me, that was something that made me the happiest. Back in the village it was the old man Hokage that took care of me, but he barely had time because he was in his office ending strong ninja on some cool secret missions. But with Mama she listened and played with me all the time. She would teach me new things and we would lay around the house together. Mama also always gave me lots of kisses and snuggled with me. I never want to leave Mama, I'm happy that I met her. Naruto, since you can't eat raw meat you have to learn how to skin and cook a rabbit, so come here I'll show you how to skin it. Mama stated as she turned into a human. I nodded and quickly went to her side so she could teach me. She looked down at me and smiled. She licked my cheek and brightly smiled. I'm so proud of you pup, the way you tracked the rabbit down was great. But we need to work on your stealth or you'll scare them away. She smiled as she grabbed a kunai. Now this is the first steps to skinning an animal. Next time you'll do it with my help, alright. She smiled and I nodded. I played outside. I had been with Mama since it was spring, the weather was getting cold now and I didn't mind. Mama was already making my winter clothes with all the animal furs she found. I liked being outside. When I lived in the village I always stayed inside so that I didn't have to see people, but here I could go outside without being scared. I played with the small bugs that crawled on the ground. Mama had called them ants and told me about them and how they build their homes in the dirt. I heard a rustling in the leaves and I stopped moving. I slowly crouched down and began crawling towards the bush. I saw something crouched down on the floor and quickly pounced on it. Gah! I heard them yell as we stumbled to the ground. Hey, what the hell? A boy yelled as I held him down. You're not an animal. I grumbled in disappointment. He glared at me. Of course I'm not. He snapped as he pushed me off. I'm Naruto. I say smiling, I hadn't seen another human in a while. My name is Kiba and what are you doing here in the forest? he asked as he patted the dirt off his clothes. My mama's den is over there, why are you all the way out here? I asked. Well, I was playing in the woods and I think I walked a little too deep in. He grumbled. Where do you live? I asked as I sat down. In Konoha. He replied and I smiled. I used to live there. Mama sometimes takes missions over there, she could definitely take you back. I smiled widely and the boy grinned. She can? He asked and I nodded. Yeah, of course she can. I heard a loud howling and knew mama was calling me. The Kiba boy looked horrified. Wolves. He gasped as he looked around, was he scared of wolves? Yeah, that was mama. Come on, I sat standing up and held my hand out. Kiba pursed his lips and looked down. He then gingerly took my hand and I helped him up. Here, follow me. I say as I began running back to the den. I dragged him behind me, but surprisingly he didn't lag behind. I heard mama howl again and I sped up. We have to hurry. I say and the boy nodded quickly. We came out on the clearing. Mama sat there in front of the house in her wolf form. Kiba let go of my hand as I tackled mama. Mama. I squealed as she licked my face and I nuzzled against her. That's Kiba, he's my friend and got lost in the forest. He lives in the village, can we help him back, please? I asked and she nodded. Kiba was staring at us wide-eyed as mama hinged into a human. So did you get lost, pup? She asked and he slowly nodded. How about we all eat something before I take you back into the village? She stated. Eat? He asked and she nodded. Yeah, Naruto here has been learning how to hunt and he's been able to catch some pretty good meals. Mama smiled and Kiba stepped forward and nodded. Come on Kiba, I'll show you my room. I say, running to him and tugging his hand. We went inside the house and took our shoes off at the door. I shook myself trying to get the loose dirt off as I pulled him to my room. My bed was made of animal skins and in my room I had things I'd been finding outside. Wow, what are those? Kiba asked as he looked at the arrowheads. They're like knives, mama taught me how to make some in case I don't have a kunai. I say with a smile. My mom doesn't let me keep it many things I find inside the house. Kiba stated as he saw my collection of pretty shaped rocks. My mama doesn't mind. I say proudly as I showed him nearly all of my things. Ups, food is served, mama called out and we both ran out my room and went to the dinner table. Mama had served us food and was eating in her wolf form. Kiba sat down and looked at the food. Your mama cooks way better than mine. He stated as he sniffed the meat and then bit it. Really? What does your Kasan food taste like? I asked and he wrinkled his nose. Depends, but it's usually not that good. Sometimes she just gives canned dog food when she gets mad at us for complaining about the food, but my big sister always saves the day when she cooks. Kiba lightened up. You have a sister? I asked as my eyes widened. I wonder what it would be like to have a sister or brother. Yeah, I have a sister who is older than me, but she refuses to be clan head because she doesn't want to take responsibility, so they decided to pass down the title to me. Kiba stated as he pointed at himself. Wow, so you're like important and stuff, right? I asked and he nodded. What about you? He asked and I shrugged. It's just me and mama. I say, shrugging. Mama teaches me thing but that's it, but I like it. I never had a Kasan before meeting mama. I said as I ate. Kiba frowned and looked between me and mama. So you aren't blood related? Kiba asked and mama chuckled. The second I took Naruto into my den, he's been my pup. I could never leave a stray pup lost in the woods. She stated as she went back to eating. Kiba nodded and said oh. We finished playing and began heading to the village. Mama was teaching Kiba how to get there and not get lost. She also told Kiba he could come and play anytime he wanted. The village gates. Mama stated as we stood in front of them. Thanks for bringing me back home. Kiba stated with a bow. I'll come and play with you when I get a chance. I usually go to the academy or have clan training, but when I get free time I'll visit. Kiba smiled and I nodded. Okay, I'll track you down if you forget about me, believe it. I say as I waved at him. He quickly ran through the gates and turned back waving once more. In the academy you should start preparing to go there. You did say you wanted to be a ninja. Mama stated as she glanced at me. Wait, you're sending me to the academy? I gasped and began happily bouncing around. I can be a ninja. I squealed and mama patted my head. We'd have to wait till next enrollment and you need training to pass the entrance exam. She chuckled as she shifted into a wolf and began walking home. Let's go home for now, Naru-chan, she smiled and I followed in pursuit. Hope you like a wolf, Naruto. Chapter 3. Third person Pav. Kiba quickly ate, he shoved spoonful after spoonful in his mouth. So you finally started to like my cooking? Tsume asked as she proudly wore a grin. Hana on the other hand looked at her brother with concern. What's the rush, Kiba? She asked as she poked the pile of mystery meat on her plate. Kiba swallowed his food rapidly and thought up an excuse. He knew he wasn't allowed to go outside the village's woods, but that's where Naruto, his new best friend, lived. I want to play outside. He quickly responded as he finished his plate of food and gave thanks. Can I go now? He asked, basically jumping up and down. Tsume cocked a brow. You may, but take Akamaru with you. He's your ninja hound and you two need to get along. Tsume stated and Kiba nodded. Come on Akamaru. He called out as the clumsy small puppy ran towards him. Kiba picked him up and hurried out the house. Kiba circled around the village and when he was sure he was alone and not being watched he snuck out of the village. Akamaru whined as he followed close behind. Don't worry Akamaru, we are going to see one of my best friends. Kiba smiled cheesily as he went exactly where Kiro, Naruto's mother, had taught him. Kiba came to a stop when he heard a wolf howl loudly, his smile widened as he recognized his best friend's howl. Kiba quickly cupped his hands around his mouth and tried to mimic the wolf howl. Hurry Akamaru, we're almost there. He cheered as he saw his best friend standing in the woods. Naruto's blonde hair had blotches of dirty blonde hair from the dirt that seemed to cover him head to toe. Kiba. Naruto launched himself toward his friend and tackled him, he licked Kiba's cheek and laughed. I thought you weren't coming cause you had ninja practice. I did but my mom finally got me my ninja hound. Kiba smiled as he sat and dusted himself. Akamaru, this is Naruto. Naruto, this is Akamaru. Kiba introduced them. Any friend of Kiba's is friend of mine. Naruto smiled and Akamaru barked. And any friend of Kiba's is my friend too. Was Akamaru's response. He said Kiba was about to translate when Naruto laughed. Don't worry, I can understand, mama has been teaching me, but hers is more beastly since she's a wolf. Naruto smiled and Kiba smiled, widely happy that his friends could understand each other without him having to translate. Kiba returned home from playing, now they had what they liked to call the Naruto look, torn clothing and covered in dirt from running in the woods and play fighting to see who was stronger. Akamaru was happy having played till his heart's content. In a way Naruto seemed more wolf-like than Kiba, who was part of the Inuzuka clan. Like Kiba, Naruto's teeth had become sharper, he more than often walked on all fours. He was being taught how to live like a wolf and had adapted quickly. Naruto's senses were also very strong, even Akamaru had a hard time finding the faint smells that Naruto found in Chaz to see if the animal or plant were still there. Kiba, although very canine-like, still acted more human than Naruto, who liked to tussle around and play. Kiba. Hana gasped as she saw the gashes from the rough housing with Akamaru and Naruto. What happened to you? You're covered in dirt and have cuts and bruises all over you. She exclaimed. Huh? This is nothing, I was just playing with Akamaru and a friend. He shrugged and she frowned. Playing? You're nearly cut to ribbons, hurry and take a shower so I can treat those wounds and take Akamaru with you. She scolded and he grumbled something along the lines of it not being fair. In honesty, she was planning on scolding him from leaving the compound grounds, but seeing him all beat up made her forget the entire lecture she had prepared. Nordo Pav. I tilted the bowl and gulped the last bit of the soup. Done, all the veggies are gone, can I have meat? I held up my bowl. Mama was laying her head on the end of the coffee table. Here then, since you are such a good pup, you can have meat. She transformed into her human form and grabbed the bowl. Mama, why do you use your human form when you grab things? I asked as I cocked my head to the side. Mama chuckled as she placed the nice juicy meat on my plate. Well, that because it's easier to grab things when you have thumbs. She replied as she placed my plate in front of me and I quickly dug in. I didn't think about it like that before. Mama, will I ever be a good wolf like you? I asked as I looked up at her. She patted my head and knelt down beside me. Of course you will, it doesn't matter if you were born a wolf like me or a human. If you always keep your family and friends close and take care of those you love, you'll be a great wolf. It's not about having fur and living in the wild, but of how we stick close to our packs, protect our young, keep our elders safe, and always move forward together that makes us good wolves. She smiled. I nodded and then slightly frowned. Mama, where's your pack at then? I asked and she frowned. We were hunted for our fur. I went out and started learning from the ninja in order to help protect my old pack. But they were scared because I could use the same abilities as the human. They didn't let me return to the pack, but that's okay. If I had been with them, then I wouldn't have found you and never would have had the chance of being a mother. She finished off and licked my cheek as she transformed back into her wolf form. Now enough questions, pup, finishing eating so we can get you started on your ninja lessons, Mama stated as she plopped down on a small couch and curled up. Hi. Right away, Mama. I exclaimed and quickly began to eat the delicious meat again. Chapter 4. Hero Pav. Again. I stared as Naruto slowly lifted himself off the floor, his legs were shaky and he was breathing heavily. Hi, Ka-san. He muttered as he placed himself back in his fighting position. He lifted his arms shakily and started me, waiting for me to attack. I stared at him calmly and quickly attacked. He dodged my left jab, my right jab, my left hook and nearly dodged my uppercut but was sent flying back into the floor. He gasped and breathed heavily. Come on, pup, up again. I calmly spoke as he slowly turned on his stomach and began getting up again. He positioned himself in his fighting stance and stared at me waiting for my barrage of attacks. I waited a second before attacking. A left jab to the stomach, a right hook to the head, a three-way combo to his torso. He nearly managed to dodge them all but fell back when my fist collided with his right rib. He coughed and laid on the ground panting. Get up again. I stated, and once again he was peeling himself off the ground. Hi, Kasan. He mumbled as he slowly got up. This time we will go slowly, I'm going to show you how to counter my attacks. I stated and he nodded. I was already in my fighting position as I attacked. This time I went slowly. When I do this you can either dodge down and attack my unguarded side or sweep my leg so that I lose balance. I stated and began guiding him and teaching him how to attack. He was tired, but he slowly mimicked the actions I was teaching him. That's good. I say as I pull back. Now while I make lunch I want you to practice those movements. Okay. I say as I leaned down and licked his cheek. Okay, Kasan. He nodded as he followed behind me and stood near the kitchen window so that I could see him. I walked back inside and went to the kitchen to make his lunch. I washed my hands and put an apron on. I pulled out a pan and the ingredients to cook. I watched Naruto from the inside the house as I cooked. I made sure to make enough vegetables and grains so that his human body was healthy. Being that I was a wolf I made sure that there was enough meat for both of us. I set the table and placed his favorite juice on the table beside his plate of vegetables. I howled knowing he would hurry inside. I heard him let out a growl as he ran into the house excitedly. Finally food. He cheered as he shook himself, dirt and dust falling on the floor. Eat now, pup. You'll be studying the academy books for a while and your calligraphy okay. I stated as I shifted back into my wolf form. But why, ninjas don't need to study stupid books and have pretty handwriting. He grumbled as he pouted. Wash your hands before eating your food. And Hokage need to know their history and have all sorts of knowledge. I replied in wolf language. Naruto huffed as he washed his hands in the kitchen sink. He growled slightly. Okay, I get it. He replied in wolf language. I smiled as I sat down at the end of the small dining room table. I began eating my portion of the meat. Naruto sat down and began eating. He quickly stuffed his mouth trying to eat all of his veggies in order for me to serve him his portion of meat. I watched him happily through the corner of my eye. So Kasan, what's your ninja level? He asked and I hummed. I'm elite Jonin level. I responded. And who taught you how to be a ninja? He asked and I smiled. I was a wolf so I couldn't enter the ninja academy, but a Chunin ninja taught me the basics and gave me those books to learn and study with. I gestured to the books that he was going to study with. The better I got the more other ninja helped me and taught me different things. I stated with a smile when I heard a familiar tune. My ears perked up as I heard the birds caw. Kasan's, what's that sound? Naruto asked as his ears twitched. It sounds like a bird, but not like the ones we usually hear. He stated as the bird whistled the same odd tune. I stood up. You are to stay in the house, is that understood? I want you bathed and studying when I return. I say as I grabbed my Konoha headband in my human form and put it on. That bird and that tune was an all call for every Chunin and higher level shinobi to report to the Hokage office. I quickly left the house and hurried to the village gates. I quickly jumped through the rooftops and to the Hokage tower rooftop. All of the shinobi stood in filed lines. The elders and the Hokage were standing before us. As everyone knows, 4 years ago the 4th Hokage sealed the 9-tailed fox inside of a child. Recently it's been noted that the child hasn't been seen anywhere in the village. He must be found immediately. His safety is of utmost importance. The 3rd Hokage explained. I quietly stepped forward. What said child's name? I asked, cocking my head to the side. Naruto Uzumaki. The old man stated. Then this whole meeting is pointless. About 7 months ago while patrolling the woods I stumbled across a child. It seemed like he had been attacked and was lost in the woods. At first I thought it was an enemy shinobi because of his large chakra reserves. I started off. The child was suffering severe injuries from what I concur was a beating. I would personally say he was merely only running due to the adrenaline going through his body because of the fear he felt. I shrugged. I took him in and he now belongs to me as my pup. We were enjoying lunch before I was called here. I finished off. So he's safe. The old man seemed relieved. I nodded. He's my son, my pup. If I find out one of you try to hurt him then you'll have to deal with me. I say, turning to the other shinobi with sharp teeth gleaming and my eyes narrowing. One thing was for sure, I know that simple civilians wouldn't have been able to cause that kind damage to Naruto. Some shinobi had to be involved and I wasn't going to permit that from ever occurring again. I see, I'd like to see him. The old man stated as he dismissed the other shinobi. I gave a short nod as I shifted into my wolf form. I lead him through the village and to the outskirts of them. We arrived to Naruto and I's little cottage. I opened the door and shook myself at the entrance. I let out a grunt letting Naruto know I was home. "I'm in the kitchen," he called out. I gave the old man Hokage nod and led him to the kitchen. Naruto was sitting on the floor and was doing his calligraphy work on the short table. He had cleaned up his plate and most of the table to place his books there. I trotted to him and licked his cheek making him giggle. "Ka-san. I've brought company." I whimpered out and he looked behind me, his eyes widened and his smile was wide. "Old man." He stood up and pounced on the old man licking his cheek. "Naruto." The old man chuckled in surprise. "I haven't seen you in so long, have you met my Ka-san?" He smiled as he jumped down and hugged the old man. "You had me worried when I couldn't find you. I had sent shinobi to look for you, but there was no sign of you. So I was planning on making every available shinobi look for you," he stated looking calmer. "Sorry about that, old man, I got lost in the woods and Ka-san found me," he stated as the old man patted his head. "It's fine, as long as you're safe. So what was it you were doing just now?" the old man asked. "I was practicing calligraphy and studying these books mama told me to," Naruto stated as he grabbed the old man's hand and led him to the table. I slowly walked to the table and cocked a brow when I noticed Naruto had ate about half of my lunch. I sighed at his antics and began to finish my food. "This is what mama has been teaching me." Naruto smiled as he began showing the old man everything he was learning. "Hey guys, hope you liked it." Chapter 5. Naruto laid restless on his bed. He hated the cold season because people always hit him more around that time of year. Sometimes they banged on his door so loudly they nearly tore it down. So whenever the weather got colder he would have a hard time sleeping. He shuffled out of bed and went out of his bedroom door. There were only two doors in the inside of the house. The bathroom door and his bedroom door. Since mama was usually in her wolf form and didn't have thumbs, she didn't have any other doors in the house so they wouldn't get in the way. He walked out of his room and made his way to his mama's room. He saw her sleeping peacefully on her bed made of fur skins. And quickly went to her. "Can't sleep?" she asked as she woke up. He quietly nodded and she laid her head back down. "Then hurry up and get in bed." She smiled slightly as she made room for him. His eyes widened and he quickly climbed in bed with her snuggling against her. She placed a paw around him and snuggled her snout against the crane of his neck. She quickly noticed how he seemed calmer. Naruto slowly began drifting into sleep. It had been a month since the Hokage had been there. The old man Hokage had been very pleased with the arrangements and even made Kiro Naruto's official parent. It made the old man happy to see Naruto truly happy, although he had picked up on Kiro's wolf habits and seemed wilder, the boy was truly happy. The boy had been so excited about telling him all the things he had learned and the friend he had made instead of telling him he was scared was a pleasant change. He had even been contemplating on adopting him, but that no longer seemed necessary. Naruto had found a home and was safe. He had also spoken with Kiro about homeschooling him till his final year of the academy. He knew teachers would try and sabotage him to the point he'd fail. In his final year he'd know enough so that he would just graduate and meet other students. A year to simply bond with others. In a way that was the only way they could think of protecting the small blonde child. Naruto woke up the next morning snuggled up against his Ka-san and was happy. He hated being alone and now he wasn't. The small child was very thoughtful. He would always compare his previous lifestyle with the current one. In a way he wanted to forget the beatings, name-calling and the glares, but it was hard. All his life he was called a monster beast. But now he didn't get called that anymore. His Ka-san treated him the way he saw other parents treat their kids. He would sometimes watch them before meeting Ka-san. He would imagine and make up what his mother and father would have looked like and make up long daydreams about how they'd treat him. It was a way he tuned out the hateful comments and glares he received. He would imagine his mother being a strong beautiful woman who would take him shopping and tell him to pick whatever he wanted. He would then imagine her buying him all kinds of sweets and snacks when in reality he was just buying plain old ramen. He would imagine his father telling him some crazy ninja stories and going with him to fish when he ran out of money to buy food. And when he couldn't catch food and didn't have money, he would daydream about how they would have some grand family feast to celebrate the evening. A blissful distraction, but that wasn't necessary anymore. Naruto laid on his Ka-san's back as she trotted to the kitchen. She used her mouth to pick him up by the shirt and set him down on the low dining table. He lazily plopped down on his pillow on the floor and started playing with his fingers and set his head down on the table. "What's for breakfast, mama?" he asked and she smiled as she transformed into a human. "Today I'm making you oatmeal. I've heard from other mothers that it's healthy for growing pups like you." She smiled as she brought out the oatmeal. "How come you don't have to eat veggies?" he asked as he looked up at her. "Well, because I'm a carnivore. I can only eat meat. You're an omnivore, you need to eat meat and vegetables," she stated and he pouted. "And I become a carnivore too?" he asked and she chuckled. If you do that you won't become a big and strong wolf and your bones would get very brittle. Your body needs the nutrients of plants," she stated as she was making his breakfast. He nodded and decided to agree with her. They didn't have to say much, they usually enjoyed a peaceful silence, and he liked it. She set the plate down in front of him and serves herself a plate of raw meat. She released her transformation and they both ate happily. Next update will be Academy Year. Sorry for short chap. Rosymalik. Chapter 6. Naruto Pav. "Here's your bento and your backpack." Mama smiled as she handed them to me. I quickly took them and held them. "Is that all I'll need?" I asked excitedly. Mama nodded and bent down, licking my cheek. "I can't believe my pup is all grown up," she muttered as she nuzzled against me. I nuzzled back and licked her cheek multiple times. "Now promise me you'll behave and listen to your sensei. And try not to pick any fights with other pups." "Okay." Mama grumbled and I nodded. "I promise I'll behave." I nodded as I tried to pull away. "Mama, I have to go, otherwise I'll be late." I groaned and she let out whimpers. "I'm just not ready to let go," she grumbled. I whimpered and nuzzled her again. "But don't you have a mission today too? Gramps said he was going to start giving you missions again." I say, and she pulled away and nodded. "I know, but I would prefer to stay home and baby you," she grumbled. "But I'ma be a ninja soon, Mama, no need to baby me anymore." I protested and she sighed. "I guess you're right, little pup. Now hurry along." She sighed, licking my cheek. I eagerly nodded and hurried to slip on my cool new ninja shoes and rushed out the door. I smiled as I howled loudly, telling Mama I'll see her when she comes back from her mission. I ran through the woods and past the village gates. "Morning, Naruto." The eternal gatekeepers greeted and I waved at them. I rushed past the villagers and finally made it to the academy. I smiled widely as I stood in front of the building. I could remember when I was younger I always wished I could come here to learn how to be a ninja, and now I finally was. I walked into the building and to the office. "Hello, I'm Uzumaki Naruto and I'm looking for Yumi no Iruka's class. Which way do I go?" I asked and the woman didn't bother looking at me. "Iruka-sensei's class is 3A on the 3rd floor." She dismissed and I quickly thanked her before rushing out of the office. I quickly climbed up to the 3rd floor and started looking for the classroom. I found it and quickly opened the door. It was pretty rowdy, I could hear them talking loudly from the doorway. I opened the door and peeked inside. The class slowly began getting silent. "Ah, you must be the new student." Iruka-sensei smiled and I stepped into the classroom and nodded. I wore my white and gray fur vest with a dark orange shirt and tan-colored pants. My hair, to be honest, was messy and I had a couple of braids with beads in my hair like my mama. "Well, introduce yourself," Iruka-sensei stated and I nodded. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto." I heard a loud thump. "Naruto." Kiba was standing up, a wide toothy smile on his face. He was playfully growling like he did every time we wrestled. I dropped my bento and quickly grinned widely. "Kiba." I yelled excitedly. My instant reaction was to quick language in a play fight like we always did. I ran on all fours and used a desk on the front row of the class to launch myself in the air. I used my claws slash down on him. Kiba instantly blocked and tried to throw me to the side. I landed on my feet and began throwing hook kicks and push kicks while Kiba blocked. Kiba quickly threw a couple jabs, forcing me to dodge. "You two cut it out." I heard a loud voice before being picked up by the back of my shirt. I instantly stiffened and became still, since that was usually how Mama picked me up. Iruka-sensei forced us both to stand in front of the class. "So what was all of that about, attacking fellow students?" he asked, crossing his arms. I cocked my head. "Oh no, I'd never attack Kiba, he's my best friend. I didn't even use my fangs," I quickly told him. "Mama did tell me to behave." Kiba looked at me. Playful greetings like the one we had could be considered violent and aggressive. Who would have guessed? "I do apologize if I seem to have misbehaved." I bowed and apologized to sensei. Kiba followed my example. "Sorry, sensei." He also bowed. Iruka-sensei sighed. "Fine, just go take a seat," he muttered. "You can sit with me, Naruto." Kiba smiled, giving me a side hug, and I perked up and nodded excitedly. Yeah. I picked up my bento as we scurried to our seats. Iruka-sensei let out a long sigh. "Well class, let's begin now that the new student Naruto has been introduced," he stated. Time went by really slow and I felt my ears twitch and I wanted to get out of my seat. Mama had told me that classes were long, but this was too much. I needed to do something. "Okay class, after lunch we will begin light exercise, chakra exercises, and finally we will finish off with spars." Iruka-sensei sigged as he closed his book. I smiled widely as he dismissed the class for lunch. I thought he'd never finish. I let out a loud yawn and stretched. We weren't sitting for that long. At least you didn't have to take last year's class, all we did was sit and get lecture. We are finally getting physical training this year." Kiba stated as he grabbed his bento. Hey Shika, Choji, meet Naruto, he's that friend I was talking about. Kiba smiled widely as he pointed at me. You mean the one that lives in the woods? The lazy-looking Shika boy asked. Kiba eagerly nodded, yeah, that's him. You live in the woods? A pretty pink-haired girl sneered. I cocked my head. Well yeah, the woods are fun and you learn so many things, perfect for honing survival skills. I stated with a nod. Yeah, about that, how come you didn't start last week like the rest of us? Kiba asked all of a sudden. My face turned a light shade of red. I might have accidentally ate an extremely poisonous plant that left me bedridden for a week. I scratched the back of my head. It just looked really tasty so I had to try it. He chuckled, making Kiba laugh. That really sounds like you, Naruto. Was it that really nice one that you told me about last time I went? Man, I'm surprised you made it out alive. Most people would have dropped dead after 5 hours of consumption. Kiba stated with a chuckle. I know, but man, it was worth it, it tasted really good, but the lecture was what nearly killed me, but I'm fine now. I grinned widely. We got up and walked towards Shika and Choji. You seem troublesome. Well anyway. I'm Shikamaru and this is Choji. Shikamaru sighed. Hey, Choji smiled as he ate chips. Let's go to the roof to eat, I'm starving. Choji stated as he ate. Sounds cool, let's go. I smiled. Chapter 7. Third Pav. Iruka's class was outside in the training grounds. Iruka was explaining the rules for the spars and how they were going to greet each other in the ring. Naruto was excitedly bouncing on the balls of his feet, a bright smile plastered on his face. To be honest, he looked adorable as he waited for his turn. Iruka began calling out names and the fights had started. Most children were using the basic academy taijutsu and some even their clan-style taijutsu. Kiba was currently fighting against a civilian kid and was totally kicking his butt. Naruto was excited for his turn. Naruto, do you want to participate? You're new and I haven't gone over basic academy taijutsu lessons with you yet. Iruka-sensei asked and Naruto nodded excitedly. I can fight, my mama has been training me down to the bone so I could be caught up. He responded. When he heard some snickering. He still calls his mama, probably a big mommy's boy. A civilian kid teased and Naruto frowned. Why did he find that funny? He was very happy to have a mama who took care of him and gave him a home. Better than living alone in his old apartment in the red light district. Iruka frowned at the student and told him to be quiet if he wasn't going to say something nice. Match, Kiba wins. Iruka called out as he wrote down notes on the battle. Alrighty then, Naruto and Chikar. Iruka called out the next two fighters. Since he didn't know Naruto's strength, he paired him with a civilian and not a heavy hitter like Sasuke or the other clan heads. Chikar snickered. Alright, the mommy's boy, get ready. Naruto frowned, he didn't like the tone Chikar was using. They both stepped into the ring on opposite sides. They walked towards each other and did the unison symbol while Iruka began the match. Naruto was nimble. He quickly dodged Chikara's attacks. Being that he always trained with a stronger and faster opponent who usually gave him a beatdown gave him the advantage. The class seemed to perk up and watch the fight enthusiastically. Iruka quickly jotted down notes and rated Naruto's taijutsu. Naruto was waiting for the moment to strike, he was just too slippery for Chikara to land a hit on. The fight looked one-sided, not many could tell that Chikara wasn't landing any of the hits. Naruto was grinning, man, fighting someone that couldn't land a bit on you was fun, and that's because hits usually hurt. He stepped forward, quickly sweeping Chikara's back leg and hitting his nose with his elbow before doing a spinning push kick right on his gut. As Chikara fell, Naruto landed one more kick on him right on the face, efficiently knocking him out. Man, you're so slow. Naruto grinned as he waited for Chikara to get up and continue fighting. Hurry up and get up, I barely even hit you. Naruto smiled as he rocked back and forth in his fighting stance, waiting for Chikara to get back up and fight. Iruka quickly noticed Naruto had knocked Chikara out. Naruto wins, since Chikara is unconscious, he will be escorted to the nurse's office. Iruka states as Mizuki, the class assistant, picked up the unconscious boy. That's it. I thought he was a little hurt and I'm not even that strong, but he's out cold. Naruto's jaw hung loose and pouted in disappointment. Naruto, not everyone can get punched by a jonin in the face and get back up through sheer effort like you, so relax. You got him good. Kiba teased Naruto, sulked as he walked out of the ring. Ah, man, I was really excited about the fight too. He groaned and Kiba laughed, patting his back. Nah, he tried his best. Naruto sighed and nodded. The matches continued and Naruto watched them all play out. Soon enough they were running laps around the training ground, the boys of the class were running as fast as they could, trying to be the fastest. Kiba and Naruto were on the lead. Kiba being one of the fastest in the class and Naruto, who spent nearly every day running around the forest, were both neck to neck. Even the stoic Sasuke was catching up to the two. Iruka watched and recorded the speed of the students as a physical evaluation. A few more laps and then take a 5-minute break. We will start with practicing your taijutsu. Haruka stated as he paced them with his stopwatch. Naruto was grinning widely, all the running and exercising was fun. Better than being locked up in a classroom. His mama always did physical exercise before studying, that way he could focus more and pay attention. But that strategy didn't work for other students who had lower chakra amounts. If they exercised and tired themselves out before studying, they'd be too tired to pay attention and fall asleep, so studying first, exercising later was a better strategy for them. In a way, that was why poor Naruto couldn't sit still in class. After conditioning, they began practicing different taijutsu moves in pairs. This time it was Sasuke and Naruto. Haruka figured since they were both strong, they could definitely put up a good fight against each other. Haruka instructed the way they would attack and the way the others were to dodge. The pairs quickly began practicing. The first few times they started off slow to get the notion on how to move. But when they began to move faster and Naruto accidentally hit Sasuke a little too hard, the real practicing began. It was like they were both trying to see who could hit the hardest and fastest. Naruto was grinning widely, having fun this time around since his opponent was able to keep up with him. Sasuke was paying attention on how he was moving and dodging to make sure he learned the technique correctly. Some of the kids slowed down and watched as both of them hit each other harshly and left bruises whenever they landed a hit. Haruka watched from the sideline. They weren't doing the exercise incorrectly, but they were landing some solid hits on each other. Naruto, Sasuke, your point is not trying to hurt your opponent, but to learn the moves. Haruka called out, making them stop. Omen, sensei. They both bowed and started off again, hitting lightly and fast. Half an hour later, Haruka brought the class back into the building. As the students packed their things, Haruka reminded them what the homework was. He then dismissed them when the bell rang. Naruto quickly walked up to Sasuke, stopping him from leaving. Sakura and Ino were hot on Sasuke's trail, that's why he had been speed walking. Hey Sasuke-san. You are really good at taijutsu. I was wondering if you wanted to be my sparring buddy. Kiba and I usually spar, but you're a good fighter too. And your fighting style is very different than Kiba's. Naruto smiled, Sasuke frowned and snickered. He gave a curt nod and quickly left. Naruto was confused. So was that a yes or a no? Chapter 8. Third Pav. It had been 3 days since Naruto's debut at the academy. After a chat with Haruka, Kiro had decided that for Naruto to concentrate in class, he had to have morning training. The kid just had too much stamina. Haruka even agreed to it when Kiro suggested it. So that brings us to Naruto's home. Kiro woke Naruto up at the crack of dawn. She made a light breakfast and let him enjoy his meal before taking him outside for some sparring. As previously noted, Kiro didn't hold back much when training Naruto. Poor boy was beaten to the ground by Kiro without mercy. Naruto's school clothes were coated in dirt and a bit of blood from the punches to the face he received. His clothes were in disarray and his cheek was swollen. One more time. Kiro growled as she prepared to attack. Hi, mama. Naruto waited patiently as she made her move. Top kick, wait no, hook kick. Naruto tried to block but was knocked down, his swollen cheek swelling more due to getting kicked in the face. Kiro sighed and shook her head. I told you, keep your eyes on how I move. Had you been paying attention you would have seen it was a feint. She sighed. I'll watch out next time. He groaned, his head spinning from the harsh blow to the face. Come on, up you go. She sighed, lifting him up and dusting him off. Eat some fruit on your way. Here's your bento, school bag and a banana. Now behave, okay? She stated as she licked his cheek. Naruto nodded and trotted off. Good luck on your mission, mama. He howled as he hurried to class. When Naruto walked into the rowdy classroom, he was back to his usual self, personality-wise. He still looked like he had been someone's punching bag. Ah, I knew it wouldn't last long. Kiba smiled and Shikamaru cocked a brow. Sasuke was a little stunned at his sparring partner's appearance. Ah, shut it, Kiba. Naruto waved off Kiba's comment. Haha, I've known Naruto for years and he has what I like to call the Naruto look. He's always hunting or fighting some wild animal in the forest. Kiba stated, catching almost everyone's attention. And since he's always causing some sort of ruckus, he's always covered in dirt or his clothes are all cut up. I wondered how long you'd last coming to school all clean and without a single scratch on you. Kiba smiled. Well, this time I wasn't wrestling any animals in the forest. I was training with my mama, but I couldn't keep up and got punched in the face, then got kicked, nearly broke my jaw. But it's all good. Last time she nearly broke my punching hand and I had to wear a cast. Naruto smiled, holding up his hand. What kind of insane training is that? Ino snickered at him. I mean, look at your face, it's clear your mom went overboard. She added, and Naruto chuckled nervously. Well, she doesn't like holding back and it's training. If I can't take a hit and have a high pain tolerance, I'd be a useless ninja. Naruto smiled. Like I said the other day Naruto, only you can get up after getting punched straight in the face by a Jonin. Kiba laughed as he placed his arm over Naruto's shoulder. Class quiet down, what happened to your face Naruto? Haruka gasped as he walked in. This. Just some morning training with my mama like you suggested Haruka-sensei. He smiled. Why don't you go to the nurse's office and get an ice pack, if that swells any more your eye will be swollen shut. Haruka exclaims. Okay, I'll be back in a bit. Naruto hurried to the nurse's office to get the bruise checked. Lunchtime rolled around and Naruto quickly grabbed his bento. Hey Sasuke, want to sit with us? He asked his sparring friend. The black-haired boy cocked a brow. Why would I want to do that? He asked cause it must be boring sitting inside the classroom all alone. Naruto pointed out and Sasuke scoffed. I'm fine, I like being alone. He stated as he looked down at the desk, a glare quite visible on his face. I'm sure you like being alone, but it must feel lonely, besides we are friends right and friends should spend time together. Naruto smiled. Sasuke froze and looked up at Naruto. Aren't we just sparring companions? He asked as he tried to mask his emotions. Well yeah, but I think of you as a friend. And besides you might find other sparring companions by making new friends. He stated. Sasuke looked torn, he didn't know if he should or shouldn't go. Stop overthinking it and let's go. He smiled as he walked over to Sasuke and dragged him up to the rooftop where Kiba, Shino, Shikamaru and Choji were waiting. What's he doing here? Kiba asked noticing Sasuke. Sasuke was sorta regretting letting Naruto drag him to the rooftop, he didn't feel the need to cope with rejection. Sasuke is my friend and I thought he could eat lunch with us. Naruto stated with a smile. Kiba sighed and shrugged. I guess if he's your friend it's fine. He muttered. Naruto and Sasuke both sat down and opened up their bento. Man Naruto, that food looks really good. Choji pointed to Naruto's bento. How about a trade, some of my delicious cooked cucumbers for a piece of chicken. He smiled and Choji nodded. You got yourself a deal. Choji smiled. Kiba had a convenience store bento that he had bought that morning. Man Naruto, your mom's food sure does taste great. He grumbled as he picked food out of Naruto's bento while Naruto ate the chicken he got from Choji. Hey. Kiba, that's my food Naruto complained as he watched Kiba finish eating the chunk of meat he stole. I'm going to ask your mom to make me bentos starting tomorrow. He nodded sagely. But wouldn't Naruto have to carry your food to school every day? Shino pointed out and Naruto gasped. Yeah, I don't want to carry your food around Kiba, do I look like a maid to you? He stated. Of course you don't Naruto, you can't even keep yourself clean, what kind of maid would you be? Shikamaru sighed with a chuckle and everyone else started laughing. It's not my fault. You try getting beat to the ground and keep clean. Naruto protested as everyone laughed and chuckled. Sasuke watched the whole ordeal, at first he was uncomfortable, but it was nice seeing them play around, share their food and joke. Maybe it was like Naruto said. He liked being alone but not lonely. I reread this book and came up with Wolfie Naruto not able to keep himself clean. Chapter 9. Third Pav. Haruka had been quite surprised. He had expected very little from his new student and although an odd first impression he proved him quite wrong. First of all Naruto, although hyper, he proved to be eager to learn the material he taught and somehow turned into a teacher's pet. He liked to prank, joke and play, but it was obvious he was serious about becoming a ninja. Even with his aloof attitude and schoolwork, his homework and tests showed that in the end he had been listening in class. Not only that, the group of troublemakers he hung out with paid more attention and tried harder than the previous 5 years in the class. Although the blonde-haired kid did struggle with his work, sometimes he would always ask for help and ask what pages in his textbook he should study. So even with Haruka's prejudiced thoughts on the boy, he had to admit he was a role model student. Remember to study for tomorrow's big test and your 3 academy jutsu. Haruka exclaimed to the class, which replied with "Hi sensei." As he dismissed them. Man, I hate written tests. Naruto exclaimed rather loudly as he stretched his muscles. That's because you can't sit still. Shikamaru grumbled lazily while Sasuke hummed in agreement. Yeah, it's because being stuck inside all day totally sucks. We didn't even get to go outside and spar today. Naruto huffed as he bounced in place. Well, I'm showing up to your family dinner uninvited. So we can totally spar afterwards. Kiba put an arm around Naruto's shoulder. By now it's not uninvited, you practically live there. Naruto rolled his eyes and Kiba shrugged. Well, I have to return my bento, eat, play and then go home. He stated nonchalantly. Well, I'm leaving. Later dog breath, Shika, Joe. Grumbled Sasuke as he packed his things. Later Team Naruto waved watching Sasuke leave, the nickname always earned him a glare from the Sasuke Fangirl Club, but that was the nickname decided by the entire group. Well, I'm going to go ask Sakura-chan out before going home. Naruto shrugged with a foxy grin as he scampered off. After his daily brutal rejection, which included a "why would I date you? You have no manners and act like you were raised by wild animals, Baka. Naruto trotted back to his home. The next day Naruto was ready and prepared to pass the test. Naruto arrived early to the classroom holding both his, Kiba's and an extra bento. What can he say, the whole Grao shared the extra bento, while Kiba ate his homemade bento from Kiro instead of buying one in the convenience store. Naruto sat in his regular chair and noticed the teacher assistant that was going to help Haruka-sensei grade the tests. Well, hello there Naruto, excited. The white, nearly lilac hair-colored teacher smiled while patting Naruto's back. Naruto, being the affectionate pup he was, quickly grinned at his teacher and greeted him with a warm smile while nodding. Ready for the tests? Mizuki-sensei smiled and Naruto nodded. I've studied hard so ensure I'll pass. Naruto nodded as the teacher pulled away. But good, then I'll leave you to do some last-minute cramming. Mizuki smiled as he pulled away and went to the front of the class, a smirk spread across his features as he chuckled internally, knowing that with the seal he would fail the jutsu part of the exam. The written test was passed out and all the students diligently write down their answers and turned their tests in. Naruto was confident he'd pass and patiently waited for the jutsu portion to start. Alright class, since all the tests are in we will proceed to the next part. We will call you into the testing room one by one in alphabetical order. Haruka smiled as he held the clipboard. He called out the first name and the student followed him and Mizuki-sensei into the testing room. Naruto had become quite restless and impatient being that his last name started with a U. In the end he was the last student to get called up. Hey Haruka-sensei, Mizuki-sensei. Naruto greeted as he excitedly bounced on the heels of his feet. Alright Naruto, you can preform the henge, substitutional, and the clone jutsu to pass and for extra credit a jutsu outside the class curriculum. Haruka stated smiling at him. Naruto nodded excitedly and began making the carefully practiced hand signs. He concentrated his chakra and cocked a brow. Naruto had been trained to be a sensor of some sorts and he realized that he had more yang chakra than yin, this caused him to concentrate more. His chakra moved hastily inside of him as he forced his chakra to even out. Henge no jutsu. He called out loudly. There was a poof as he transformed into the third Hokage. There were very few errors, but it was good enough to pass. Haruka smiled and began to write down on his clipboard. Naruto released it slightly winded from concentration. He took a deep breath and began doing the next hand signs for the next jutsu. He concentrated his chakra again and forced it to even out his chakra. Substitutional jutsu. Naruto called out as he switched places with a textbook on the desk. He smiled as he managed once more. He hopped off the desk and got ready for his next jutsu. Sensei, my Ka-san taught me a clone jutsu that better suited my chakra reserves. Is it okay if I do that one? Naruto asked and Haruka responded before Mizuki could say anything. That's fine Naruto. Naruto smiled widely as he did his signature hand signs. Shadow clone no jutsu. He channeled vast amount of chakra, there was a loud popping sound and shadow clones appeared. Amazing, that's an AR rank jutsu. Haruka gasped making Naruto grin widely at the praise. You pass, pick your headband and grades will be posted on the board in a week. Orientation is next week on Wednesday. Haruka smiled. Thanks Haruka-sensei. Naruto smiled and noticed Mizuki glaring at him. Naruto bit his lip and looked away from the glare feeling uncomfortable. Oh okay. Naruto meekly nodded. Grabbing the headband and hurrying out the room. Naruto rushed out the academy. Outside stood Kiro. To be honest, she stood out from the rest of the civilians, not just because of her dark skin and multicolored hair, but the clothes she wore. Mama. Naruto squealed holding the headband up high. She quickly pulled him into a hug, licking his face, nuzzling him while she congratulated him. Just as expected from my pup. She smiled when she suddenly froze. His chakra, something wasn't right. She pulled away and looked down at him, inspecting him. She turned him around and noticed yin suppression seal her brows furrowing and a growl coming out of her lips. Mama. Naruto stammered out as her fangs were coming out, her pupils dilating and her nails sharpening. Why don't you hang out with your friends honey? Mama has to do something. She smiled sweetly. Whoever dared place a seal on her little pup was a dead man. Hey lovelies, it's author Sama. Chapter 10. Third person Pav. Kiro was furious as she inspected the seal. It was crudely made and had Naruto not had large chakra reserves or good chakra control, it would have killed him by now. The other families around them were congratulating their kids for graduating. It's that child, he actually graduated. Kiro's sharp ears twitched as she heard women whispering about her precious pup. One would have thought that the Hokage would have dealt with the little rascal by now. The other stated. The entire area was suddenly engulfed with an intense killer intent. Some civilians gasped for air as they were suffocating. The new graduates trembled in fear because of the Kai in the air. Mama, what's wrong? Naruto cried out, he was afraid at her sudden change in demeanor. Naruto, stay still. She growled as she let her fingers nimbly remove the seal. "Kiro-san, what's the matter?" Tsume asked her with her son Kiba in tow. "Someone sealed his chakra." Kiro growled out as she decided not to speak in human language. Tsume furrowed her brows as she noticed the seal that was placed on Naruto's back. It was barely visible, but it seemed to be messing with his chakra. "Take Naruto with you, I have some unsettled business." Kiro growled as she finished the removal of the seal. She moved quickly, walking towards the academy. As she moved away from the civilians they were finally able to move. She could also sense the Anbu that were heading to the academy to find out who released the Kai. The newly graduated students and shinobi watched the oddly dressed woman leave. Walking through the door, Kiro moved through the halls in a fast pace, her nose leading her to the scent that was left on Naruto's jacket. She stormed into the academy room only to see Iruka writing the final analysis of the newly graduated students. Her eyes trailed away from him and to a tall white-haired Chunin who was leaning back in his chair slightly. They both looked up at her as they felt the Kai and heard the door. Kiro was shaking in anger. She was looking at both of them. She knew Iruka was proficient in seals, but she'd seen his work and it was nowhere near as crude as the one she had just seen. She then glanced at the other man that was beside Iruka. The man cocked a brow and looked at her with disinterest. "Who put the seal on my son?" She growled out, her human voice sounding animalistic. Iruka looked confused, but the other man looked taken back, but it was quickly covered up with a forced facial expression, as if he was confused. "Kiro-san, what's the matter? Did something happen to Naruto?" Iruka asked, being that he knew her and knew Naruto was her adoptive son. Kiro didn't respond as she dashed toward the lower class shinobi and struck him. Mizuki was sent back crashing through the academy window. Iruka managed to jump back in shock. "What's the meaning of this?" he gasped as she snarled and jumped out of the window following Mizuki. There was a civilian scream. The people outside were taken back seeing an academy teacher be thrown out the window. Kiro was quick to follow up on her attack. Unlike Mizuki, who was a Chunin, she was an elite jonin, and it was because of her vicious taijutsu style and ninjutsu. His body was slammed on the ground, making him cough up blood. "How dare you try and hurt my son?" she screeched. At this point her human hinge was starting to fail. Her human teeth were fangs, and she looked like a crazed wild animal. She slung him around and hit him with such force that he was sent flying through some buildings. Low animalistic growls emitted from her as she attacked him. Mizuki was barely able to dodge or move much. He was cradling one of his arms that had broken in one of Kiro's previous attacks. Anbu had finally arrived at the scene. They quickly evacuated the citizens that were too close. Naruto watched in awe and horror. He'd never see his mother so angry and serious in a battle. But why was his mama attacking Mizuki-sensei? Mizuki was at a near-to-death state when Anbu finally managed to drive her away from him. They stood protecting the area around the half-dead Chunin to keep her at bay. She circled around them like a predator staring at their prey. "Kiro-sama, please calm down." One of the Anbu tried to reason with her. "Give him to me, today I'll kill him." Kiro growled. Naruto watched from the sidelines. He didn't want the Anbu to accidentally hurt Kiro if she continued to disobey them and kept attacking. "Mama, please calm down, why are you attacking Mizuki-sensei?" Naruto stammered out as he watched from a safe distance. Hearing Naruto's whimpers brought her out of her blind rage. She slowly turned around, her body relaxed, and she flinched at the state her son was in. He was quivering in fear. He was afraid of her and the killing intent that was oozing out of her. The Anbu took Kiro's distraction as an opportunity to arrest her. Kiro, out of habit, tried to resist, howling loudly as they restrained her. Tsume pulled Naruto away and covered his eyes. "You can stay at my compound while this whole ordeal is dealt with." Tsume sighed. Tsume shook her head. Attacking a fellow shinobi always resulted in an arrest and trial. Hopefully Kiro had a good reason for attacking, otherwise she was in a heap of trouble. Hi, comment your thoughts and let's hope all goes well for Kiro-sama. BTW, I was going to make Kiro act civil and tell the Hokage and make Naruto's graduation like canon, but I asked a friend if Naru should pass or fail, and she said pass. And then I saw Il's comments on Mama on Rampage, and I had to make it like this. If you also like my writing, check out my other books. I have Assassinero and a darker orphan-themed Naruto book. Chapter 11. Third person Pav. Ah, calm down, I'm sure they won't hurt your ma. Kiba grumbled as he stroked Naruto's hair while Naruto rested his head on his lap and sniffled. But what if they do? He crackled as he nuzzled into Kiba's lower torso. Kiba sighed at Naruto's antics. It was obvious Naruto was attached to Kiro by the hip. Kiba knew it was because when Kiro took him in, she raised Naruto to be wolf to the point his actions nearly mimicked the way regular wolves acted. "You're a full-fledged ninja now, so suck it up. She'll be out of there in no time. Now let's go to sleep, tomorrow is orientation." He grumbled as he plopped back on bed, ignoring the fact Naruto didn't let go. Naruto simply whimpered. "You two better go to sleep, I want you up bright and early tomorrow." Tsume yelled as she opened the door, turned off the lights and shut it. Just go to sleep, by tomorrow it will all be solved. Kiba grumbled. You think so? Naruto sniffled and Kiba nodded. Akumaru, you're sleeping on the bottom of the bed, Naruto is taking your spot today. Kiba grumbled, nearly falling asleep. Akumaru let out a growl of annoyance, but it fell to deaf ears since Kiba was fast asleep. The next day they woke up early with the dogs howling and breakfast being served. The eggs were a little burned, but Hana took care of the bacon and toast, so that was completely edible. Tsume was feeding the rest of the pack and the dogs that stayed in the kennel. You two best hurry off. Teams will be placed today. Maybe you'll get the same Jonin instructor. She stated. Naruto and Kiba grinned. If we do, we would probably be a tracking squad. With our sense of smell we would be tracking all kinds of things down. Kiba chuckled as he stuffed his face with food. Man, oh man, maybe Shika or Choji will be on our team. Or even team, he can spar really well. Naruto squirmed in his seat. Also, we got news on your mom, she's been released and Mizuki was arrested for endangerment of a student and other charges that are not being disclosed to the public. Hana stated as she served herself some food. Naruto grinned. Thank Kami, I was so worried about her. Tobeo. He was relieved to know she was out. Although she is in house arrest for the damage. Hana added, making Naruto pout. Wouldn't be the first time. He sighed. Kiba finished his meal and drank his beverage. Anyway, we should go. He smiled as he put his headband on. Naruto stuffed his food in his mouth and nodded. Yeah. He said with a mouthful and put his headband on too. Good luck. Hana called out as they both scurried out the door. Hana couldn't help but chuckle as she watched them leave. If Naruto had a tail it would never stop wagging, that boy is like a ball of happiness. She thought to herself as she cleaned. Both of them made it to class and sat down. Kiba taking his normal seat by Shikamaru and Choji and Naruto by Sasuke. Naruto greeted everyone happily, basically pouncing on all of them as he saw them and licking their cheeks excitedly. All of them were used to it by now, it was just Naruto being Naruto. At first though Sasuke had freaked out about it and nagged for hours on end on how that not being appropriate behavior to greet your friends, but Naruto didn't even hear him out. The fangirls streamed into the room gossiping and flirting with Sasuke. Although some secretly shipped their precious Sasuke-kun with Naruto after watching how Naruto was so affectionate, but then again, the secret yaoi fans shipped the poor boy with anyone he pounced on and licked. To their defense, he brought it on himself for not knowing the meaning of personal space, but they knew he was just too dense to realize that what he did at times was too much. Another thing the fangirl realized was not to pop off at Naruto. The boy honestly never meant any harm and he would tear up just a little and everyone who was watching it would feel bad for him and stand up for him. Not that he needed it, but damn right everyone realized that he was doing things innocently with no ill intention, so if you were an asshole to him, damn right, you're just a straight up asshole. So Sakura persuaded Naruto to scoot over and let her sit down by Sasuke, which ended with a blushing Naruto and a content Sakura. The poor boy couldn't help that he was crushing on the pink-haired girl. Iruka walked into the room, he took in a deep breath and greeted the students. Welcome, now as you know. Now you are the new genin of Konoha, you will go through many trials, and you will all pave your own path in shinobi career from now on. I know that you'll achieve great things. Now as for your teams, they will be your comrades until you're promoted, or they may be your comrades for even after promotion. Konoha prides itself in our team-centered system that bring higher success and lower mortality rates. I hope you all the best of luck. I will begin calling out teams, so listen up. Iruka smiled. Teams were being called out and Naruto was impatiently waiting for his name to be called out, but every time his friends' names were called out and he wasn't in that team he would whimper. Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and Uzumaki Naruto. You are team 7. Yada. Team, we are on the same team. Naruto grinned. TCH, dope. Sasuke smiled slightly. Quick update, I'm happy you guys like this book. If you like this, check out my other books, I have 2 similar books like this. Chapter 12. Naruto Pav. I was impatiently pacing around the room. Sasuke was silently watching me and Sakura seemed annoyed too. Man, why is sensei taking so long? I grumbled, then suddenly perked up as I smelt a scent coming towards us. Is that sensei? I grumble out, sniffing the air. Sasuke perked up as well. Is someone coming? He asked and I nodded. Smells like a ninja that deals with ninkin, a bit of blood and the forest scent. I grumble out as the door opened. Interesting analysis. With a good sense of smell. In guessing I can deal with you guys maybe. Meet me at the rooftop. A white-haired man stated. I'm assuming he's our sensei. The man disappeared, leaving a few stray leaves as she shunshin away. Hurry up guys. I say, quickly leaving the room and climbing up the academy stairs to the rooftop. Sasuke and Sakura were right behind me. Our sensei was lazily sitting back reading a book by the rails. We all filed up in front of him. Sit down and tell me a bit about yourselves. He grumbled looking at us in disinterest. What kinds of things? Sakura asked and he looked up and thought. Name, likes, dislikes, hobbies and dreams I guess. He stated. How about you start, you seem suspicious enough. Sasuke stated narrowing his eyes at our sensei. Name is Kakashi, I have some likes and dislikes hobbies, I have those. And I don't have a dream per se. He shrugged in the laziest way possible. What about you Pinky? He asked as he glanced at Sakura. I am Haruno Sakura, I like to read and who I like is my hobbies include studying, training and my dream. She was blushing harder each time and was getting nervous. I cocked my head, she usually isn't this shy. I wonder why she's acting like this. I dislike Ino and the news shipping and gossip. She stated glancing at me slightly. I wonder why. You corner of desolation and sadness. Kakashi-sensei glanced at Sasuke who sighed. Uchiha Sasuke. I like training, sparring with my friends, and people who make an effort in their shinobi careers. I dislike posers, fangirl and people who treat my friends badly. As for hobbies I can say I really only train and study. My ambition is to kill a certain person. He shrugged and sat back after introducing himself. You? Sensei turned to me and I smiled widely. I'm Uzumaki Naruto from the once great Uzumaki clan. I like tracking things, eating new foods, training, spars and hunting. I dislike seeing my mom getting arrested when someone is outright mean to me and mobs. My hobbies are tracking and hunting in the forest, fighting, and I'm hanging out with my friends. My dream is to become a great tracker like my mom and then become Hokage and help anyone who needs it to Bayo. I happily exclaimed. Kakashi-sensei sat back and nodded. All of you are different, that's good. Now to become official elite genin you have one more test. It has a 66% chance of failure. If you fail you get sent back to the academy you can either continue and join the regular genin ranks or quit your shinobi career. Sensei stated and we all frowned. Training ground 7 tomorrow at 6 AM, don't eat breakfast or you'll puke. See yo then Jana. He looked away and I let out a sigh. Man that sucks, quit or join the regular ranks. I grumble out and Sasuke nodded. Elites get a jonin sensei and tend to rise through the ranks faster. In genin regular rates we would be stumped for a while and would have to harder time finding specialized training. He added and Sakura nodded. Then we should train for the rest of the day, we still have about 5 hours of daylight. And with a good night's sleep we should probably have a chance at whatever the test is. I stated and Sasuke nodded. Can I join too? I really don't want to be sent to the academy and have to do regular genin advanced classes. She pipped up a bit embarrassed. Sasuke and I glanced at each other, we both slightly nodded. Sure. I smile at her. Just make sure you don't drag us down. Sasuke grumbled putting his hands in his pockets and slouched a habit he got from Shikamaru. Let's meet up at training ground 7 bring some arm and leg wets and any training gear. I speak up and Sasuke nods. But that we all hurried home to get ready to train. I was excited, I would see and ask mama what happened after her arrest and I would definitely tell her I got my genin team today. The second I saw her I tackled her and snuggled her. She let out a yelp and licked my cheeks. She whimpered out an apology for scaring me and I quickly told her I was alright. She quickly helped me get my training gear and urged me out the house while lecturing me about how the newly formed team was like a pack and how we had to work together and to make sure to protect my friends. I was speeding off to the training ground with a smile. Kiba was right everything was fine. Chapter 13. Naruto Pav. It was morning and the final genin test was well on its way. I had skipped breakfast and was finally making my way to Team 7's training ground. Yesterday we spared to see how well we could fight. Sakura sadly couldn't last long in Taijutsu battles against Sasuke, but that was okay she tried her best. I noticed Sasuke leaning against one pole and smiled. Team. I grinned as Sakura came to view as well. I thought you'd be late. Sasuke grumbled as he cocked a brow. Why did he have to hate mornings? He's always cranky in the mornings. Nah, I have a clock you know and it has an alarm. I pointed out. Good morning Sakura. I say turning to her ignoring Sasuke rolling his eyes. Hey. She meekly waved and I looked around. Do you think sensei will be here on time? I was wrong, sensei was not on time and I am annoyed. Sasuke seems to be dozing off, Sakura is sitting down on the grass pulling at it and yanking it. I'm bored out of my mind. There was a poof and a smoke cloud and sensei finally appeared. Yo. He grumbled and Sasuke snorted loudly due to waking up and Sakura squeaked. Sensei. You're here, late maybe but here. I cheered and he sighed and shrugged. I got lost in the road of life. He stated and Sakura frowned. Yeah right. She hissed. Right, anyway here's the deal. You see these two bells? Well you have to take them from me so let me tell you the rules. We were all sweating. Sakura might have not done much, but she helped us with the distractions, but getting those bells seemed impossible. We had tried combos, solo, pairing up, but no matter what Kakashi-sensei was slippery and could see right through our attacks. The bell rang and we all collapsed. Alone or together, we will never get those bells. Sasuke huffed as he tried to get back up. Kakashi-sensei hummed and looked at us. I've been watching you closely. You started off attacking me by yourselves then paired up before trying to attack as a group. You didn't seem to have any problem trying to get the bells together. To be honest, you would have never gotten the bells, you know that, right? He asked and we all glanced at each other. I've decided who will be the one to fail and get sent back to the academy. He mumbled and we all stiffened. I decide that. Team 7 passes and that you have what it takes to be a ninja. Yada. We pass, did you hear? I jump up and glance at both of my teammates. Sakura smiled before collapsing on the ground with a smile on her face, while Sasuke grins. Team 7 is officially formed. Kakashi-sensei adds and pulls out his orange book. This calls for a celebration. My Ka-san said to bring you all over for dinner if we passed. She's making a special dinner to celebrate. I say and Sakura sat up. Well, I guess we will be eating at Naruto house. Kakashi stated as I helped both my teammates up. Come on. I'm sure my Ka-san is waiting. I say as Sakura rolls her eyes. Okay, let's go before you burst a fuse. She chuckled. We were jumping through the trees as I lead them towards my house. Wow, Naruto, you live really far out of the village. Sakura pointed out. Yeah, Ka-san thinks the village is a little noisy. I say as we arrived at the clearing where my house was. As she heard you then? Because you're as noisy as they come. Sasuke grumbled as I opened the skidding door. I'm home and brought company. I yell and I can hear Ka-san shouting to greet us. She was at the end of the hall in her wolf form. I grinned, this is Sakura-san, Sasuke team and our sensei Kakashi. I pointed at them as I took my shoes off and shook the dirt off. She hinged into her human form and smiled widely. It's a pleasure to meet you too and hello Kakashi-san. She bowed. Please come in. Thank you for having us in your home Kiro-san. Kakashi greeted and I glanced at him. You know Kakashi-sensei, Ka-san? I asked and she nodded. Why of course, he's a respected jonin of the Leaf. We've had missions together before. She pointed out as we all walked in and I led my new teammates in the kitchen. Well, it's about time you guys got here, for a moment I thought you failed your test. Kiba was sitting at the table and Akimaru laid on his lap. What are you doing here, dog breath? I asked pointing at him. My sister is out on a mission and your mom let it slip that she was cooking a special meal, I could not miss it. He smirked as he rubbed his stomach. Damn it Kiba, always thinking with your stomach, you have no shame. I huffed as I took my seat. Please relax. I'll start serving the food. Ka-san stated and everyone sat down. Your mom is really pretty, Naruto. Sakura stated as she sat down. You know that's not what she really looks like, right? Kiba pointed out. Really? What does she look like then? Sakura asked curiously. You already saw it, when she greeted us she had her hinge off. I stated as my mom walked in carrying the heavy dishes filled to the brim with food. I've made plenty of food for you since you're growing pups. Also remember to eat some vegetables. Ka-san stated as she set the plates down and went to get our rice bowls. Thank you Kiro Ka-san. Kiba grinned as he anxiously waited for the food. Wake up Akimaru, it's time to eat. Kiba instantly woke Akimaru up. Kiba, you can't just let Akimaru eat at the table. Sakura whisper scolded. Of course I can, besides Kiro would be upset if I didn't let Akimaru eat with us. Kiba shrugged and I nodded. I guess you haven't realized, but my Ka-san isn't human. She can hinge into one, but she isn't one. I say as Ka-san walked in and started serving the rice. It's a pleasure to meet you, I am Kiro, Naruto's mother. Ka-san smiled as she served the food. Sasuke and Sakura looked at her warily. You can serve whatever you want to eat on the empty plate. I'm really glad that you all passed and made it to Genin. Please take care of my son. She smiled and bowed slightly. Yup, they will, I did Akimasu. Kiba spoke quickly and began to pile meat on Akimaru's plate and his own. I did Akimasu. I clasped my hands together and started putting food on my plate as well. I did Akimasu, and thank you for the food Kiro-san. Kakashi clasped his hand and began eating as well. Ka-san's hinge poofed away and she was back to normal. Dear, you want some too, right? I say with a mouthful of meat and rice while I placed meat on her plate. Sakura and Sasuke were staring wide-eyed at Ka-san. Eat up pups, you don't want the food getting cold. Ka-san sent a telepathic remark and Kiba chuckled. I don't think Naruto told them you weren't human but instead that you are a wolf before brining them. Kiba stated as he stuffed his mouth with food. Oh well then I guess now you know. I'm Kiro, Naruto's adoptive mother, and yes I am a wolf. Chapter 14. Third person Pav. They stared at Naruto's mother in shock. She wasn't a human but a wolf. It was odd, but it made them wonder. Does the village even know that there is a wolf? Raised one of their genin. So you aren't a person and a wolf henge, but a wolf who is able to henge as a person, Sakura asked to clarify, and Kiro chuckled. It seems a bit odd at first, but there are plenty of animals that learn the shinobi arts. There's the toads, snakes, hawks, slugs and even some marine life as well. Although most do come from the summon realm and some even have sacred shinobi arts. It's not that uncommon as you might think. Kiro chuckled as she continued to eat. She's got a point, most of the animals in my compound can use jutsu, even Akamaru can use jutsu. We have a special super cool combo too. Kiba grinned as he stuffed his face with food. About that, how was your genin exams, Kiba? Kiro asked, glancing at him. He grinned even more as she asked. It went great, we passed our test with ease. From what I was told, we are going to be a tracking team. I'm surprised Naruto wasn't placed in a tracker team though. He has very refined sense of smell and great tracker qualities. Kiba replied as he ate. Kiro nodded and glanced at Kakashi. What kind of team do you think Team 7 will turn out to be? She asked, and Kakashi placed a hand underneath his chin. They aren't stealth, that is for sure, and I don't think they are well versed to be an assassination squadron either. So front battle line is my best guess. 2 chakra powerhouses and 1 with what appears to be great chakra control. They will need a lot of work, but they aren't a total lost cause. Kakashi pointed out, and Kiro nodded. Well then, I want both of you to know that you are welcomed here at any time, and if you have any questions about training or need help, that I'm willing to assist you. I do expect you to come over for dinner a few times when I am home from missions. She added. Thank you for the invitation, Kiro-san. I'm sure we will come here often. Sakura stated. She couldn't help but feel bad about every time she made a bad comment on how Naruto was raised or his parent. Kiro-san was really kind, and maybe she shouldn't have said the things she said about someone she didn't know. Kiro smiled and continued eating. Man, the food tastes great, mama, is there more ribs? Naruto asked, and Kiro sighed. I didn't make any extra, besides I don't see you eating anything but meat. She hummed out, and Naruto chuckled nervously and began serving himself some vegetables. Training was going to be in training ground 7, but I'm sure Kiro-san will also appreciate us training here in these training grounds, being that it's also bigger. She did mention it in our parent-teacher conference earlier. Kakashi stated as he finished his meal. HN. Sasuke nodded as he glanced at Kiro wearily. To him she just seemed too kind, and being how he didn't want to close to anybody, he wanted to stay far away from her, but then again she was Naruto's mother and Naruto had already made his way in Sasuke's life and made him his best friend. Well, dinner was good and all, but I have to make it home and tell my mother that I passed. Thanks for the meal, Kiro-ka-san. I will make sure to also bring the herbs you asked me for. I'm sure we have some laying around at home. Kiba stretched and stood up and picked up his plate. I'll be back tomorrow. He was leaving and waving goodbye. Bye, dog breath. Naruto yelled. Kiba snickered loudly and huffed. Bye, little pup. He teased as him and Akamaru left the house. I'm not a pup. Naruto snapped, and Kiba laughed as he walked out of the front door after putting his shoes on. Kiba is right, the food was great, Kiro-san. Anyway, I'm heading back to the village. Remember, be here tomorrow at 7 AM for training. Jana. Kakashi disappeared in a puff of smoke. Sakura and Sasuke glanced at each other. The food was good and thank you for having us over, but may I ask why you want us to use these training grounds instead of the ones in the village? Sakura asked. Kiro cocked her head. There was a reason that she wanted them close instead of in the village. With the Mizuki incident and the aggression towards her pup Naruto, she didn't want him walking back home alone, and they were currently investigating if there was another spy or traitor in the shinobi ranks. If Orochimaru had one, there was a large chance there were 2 or 3. Besides, regular civilians were also pretty aggressive and the Jinchuriki couldn't be put in harm's way. It was more of a council decision, and Kiro was okay with having her pup nearby. There's been a few incidents lately that have me concerned over your safety. The last Uchiha and Uzumaki and a child of a council member, you can be targeted easily, and I would prefer to have you in arm's reach. All of the new graduates are having training near a major shinobi compound. Most of this term's graduates are clan heads and children with a great clan standing, so there is extra precaution. Kiro pointed out. She was being honest with them since she saw no reason to lie. And out of the 3, none of you have major shinobi compounds, so this area here is where the council decided to place you. With Hada, Kakashi and myself here, I have no doubt in my mind that you will be safe. Kiro pointed out as she hinged into a human and began cleaning the table. I understand you, but you think we are safe with Kakashi-sensei? He doesn't seem like much. Sasuke spoke up for once, and Kiro chuckled. Ataka Kakashi, an A-rank shinobi, became genin at 5 and Chunin at 6. He was held back due to the war and the drafting. Student of the Yellow Flash, who later became the 4th Hokage. Became Jonin at 12, then lead a successful assault to the Iowa supplies, and then became a renowned war hero by 14. By 16 he was the Hokage's personal bodyguard. He's been in the bingo book since he was a child and has a bounty on his head and flee on sight warrant in 9 different countries. I'm pretty sure that Kakashi-san is strong enough to protect you. Kiro chuckled, ruffling Sasuke's hair. Amazing. But are you sure you were talking about our sensei? Sakura asked in disbelief, and Kiro nodded. How about I walk you two home? She asked, and they nodded. Team 7 was training their butts off in the hot sun. They were panting and sweating as Kakashi trained them. Ah, it's so peaceful I can nearly hear them asking for death. Kakashi thought to himself as he read his orange book, and they ran through the same regiment they got since they started. You guys are barely getting started. Don't forget Kiro-san was kind enough to offer tracking lessons today. Isn't training and being a ninja fun? He spoke and there was a loud groan coming from the 3 of them. Their teacher was a sadist with no mercy in him. Kiro-san was kind and all, but now Sakura and Sasuke understood how Naruto wasn't fazed when he got punched. The hits Kiro-san gave when Kakashi asked her to spar with him felt like she was trying to kill them. They hadn't been told she was a taijutsu specialist. How much longer is training? Sasuke asked and Kakashi hummed. Well, from sunrise to sunset, we don't have any missions today. He shrugged and they felt death loom over them. It was only 11 a.m. I don't feel like writing anymore today, but I hope you liked my chap and maybe I will write something more interesting next chap. Chapter 15. Third person POV. Team 7 were quietly doing their D rank missions. Some were surprised as they happily went and did the chores. With their personalities, one would have thought that they would have begged for a better mission, but they failed to see that as long as they did D ranks they weren't training. One might ask themselves why they would rather do missions than train. Well, it was quite simple. Kakashi Haddock was being watched under the skillful eye of Kiro, who expected nothing less than her son being trained down to the bone. Also, Kakashi wasn't one to disappoint, and to be honest, he did enjoy training his little minions down to the ground. Poor Sakura quickly had to drop her diet because if she didn't have enough calories in her body, she felt like she was 0.5 seconds away from passing out on the training grounds. Sasuke didn't have time to complain because he was usually either working out or being beaten to the ground by the mock spars. Naruto, who was used to the Spartan-like training, was happily training and finding comfort in the D ranks, which gave them resting and healing time. All 3 of the cute little students had a bit of muscle being built up as Kiro had placed chakra restrictors on them, so their muscles were the ones being trained. The faces of the 3 cute genin when they begun physical training with no chakra made both Kiro and Kakashi coo. They were going to be strong team, that was for sure. They could literally flex their newfound muscles with pride. Kakashi was right, they would be a perfect frontline assault team. Good afternoon, Kiro ni. Sakura bowed politely as she entered the home, both Sasuke and Naruto following. How was the mission? Kiro asked. They were easy, we got a few of them done. Sakura chirped and Sasuke snickered in the background. They tended to come and eat dinner with Naruto and Kiro. The boy greeted the wolf and all 3 genin plopped down at the table getting ready to eat. Being that they were trained vigorously, Kiro made sure that they were fed correctly so that they had enough calories in their bodies to be healthy and keep up with the amount of calories they burned. Mama, today the old man Hokage said that we were ready to take a C-rank mission. It's an escort mission to the land of waves, and we are taking a grumpy old man. Naruto stated as Kiro served the food. Well, you 3 have improved tremendously. Kiro smiled as she began serving them. Nakiro, when can we up the gravity seal weights? Sakura asked, and the 2 boys slightly groaned at Sakura's comment. What, you 2 pansies can't handle them? Sakura snickered out, glaring at them, and the 2 boys stared at their female teammate wide-eyed. Sakura blushed as she realized she accidentally called her crush a pansy. I meant to say, we have improved so much that I think we can handle more. She stuttered out, inner had come out for a moment, and Sakura was embarrassed to look so unladylike in front of Sasuke. Kiro let out a laugh and patted Sakura's head. We can raise the weights for yours after dinner, you seem to really be good with weight training, Sakura. I would have thought that you would prefer Jinjutsu or long-distance fighting, but you seem to take strength training and close combat like a fish to water. Kiro smiled at the blushing girl. I guess I do. She stammered out. Team 7 was close, but they were yet to the point where they were comfortable enough to be completely honest on how they were. Good to know that you like weight training, Sakura, if only your teammates were the same. Kakashi stated as he walked in, and both Sasuke and Naruto glanced at each other. We like weight training too, you know. As a matter of fact, I want to get my weights raised too. Naruto stammered out and Sasuke hummed in agreement. Kiro smiled and nodded, I can add a bit more weight to them, no worries. She stated as they all sat down and began to eat. Team 7 minus Kakashi waited by the gates waiting for their sensei. They were packed and ready to go to their escort mission. The old man Tazuna was grumbling about inadequate brats being sent on the mission he paid so much money for. If sensei doesn't get here soon we won't leave on schedule. Naruto grumbled and Sasuke hummed in agreement and annoyance. By now the members of Team 7 were used to their teacher's chronic tardiness and had learned nearly what each of Sasuke's grunts meant. It all depended on the pitch and the length of the grunt. Facial expressions were also important but not always reliable. "Hello my cute little minions." Kakashi smiled. "Thank God you're early." Sakura let out a sigh of relief. Tazuna snorted they were supposed to depart 2 hours ago, so how the hell was their sensei early? "I was worried we would have to wait 4 to 5 hours like usual." "Glad to see you get here early sensei." Naruto grinned and Kakashi chuckled. "Don't get used to it." He grinned and ruffled Naruto's hair and Naruto let his head get petted, his wolf traits kicking in. "Let's go then." Sasuke grumbled and they all nodded in agreement. The demon brothers from the village in the mist were simply misfortunate. They were good fighters, but Team 7 knew they were coming way before they were able to ambush them. Naruto picked up the scent and growled softly to warn his teammates, and they had all been ready for combat. It was also hard for the demon brothers to use their long-distance combat weapons on a group specializing in up-close and personal fights, who seemed to have a knack at disarming people. Sakura had given one of them a black eye when he got too close to Tazuna, and the two boys had beat them to a mush before they were knocked out by a Jonin who took them out before they could take the brat seriously. Tazuna had ended up telling them what actually had happened, but they were easily swayed into actually helping the old man. Team 7 was off once more to complete the mission. "Sorry for the long wait. Hope you like my headcanon of Sakura being swell-af." Chapter 16. Third person Pav. Tazuna found the team to be rather odd. A pink-haired little girl who was nearly buffer than her male teammates. A boy who could apparently smell and track things like a dog. And a emo brat who actually let Naruto the puppy-acting boy pounce on him, and the aloof sensei who mentioned that training his ninja dog was easier than training human children. Ah yes, it made him wonder what kind of people the ninja society was raising because this wasn't normal. The old man's sweat dropped. Sure, they looked and acted a little odd, but they could at least fight. That much had been proven, he thought to himself as the team escorted him. "Sensei, do you think a stronger ninja will be coming now since we beat up the Chunin?" Sakura asked. There is a possible chance they were working alone, but then again they could have had a Jonin with them. Kakashi stated calmly, his eye observing the area around him. "I'm so glad that we didn't get a D rank. They are a nice break from training, but it is really a bunch of people who are too lazy to do chores. So to get a C rank turned B rank is pretty awesome," Naruto stated, and the other two nodded. "You make it sound like you don't really enjoy your trainings. Maybe I should make them harder so that you three take them more serious." Kakashi stated as he gave his team a sideways glance and the three of them stiffened. "Nothing like that sensei, we love our training." Naruto was talking about how D ranks help let our muscles rest so that we always give it our all. "Right Naruto?" Sakura smiled at Naruto sinisterly and the boy rapidly nodded. "Yeah, I wasn't saying that we were slacking or anything like that," he added. Tazuna glanced at the ninja wearily. Shinobi were so odd. Naruto stopped, listened and sniffed before quickly pushing down the old man as a sword was thrown, nearly beheading them. All of them managed to duck and were spared from harm. "Sasuke ninjutsu." Sakura yelled as her and Naruto ran forward, slightly ducking down as a giant fireball flew above their heads as they prepared themselves for battle. The team was in front of Zabuza. "Looks like these little ninja have guts." He chuckled, evading the fireball. Not much was said other than "give me the bridge builder," followed by a no. The water clone quickly attacked the three genin while the Jonin began their own battle. Naruto and Sakura dealt with the water clone while Sasuke stood back. Naruto was quick to attack in his ballistic style. His fist moved quickly, jabbing the mist ninja harshly, his fist twisting into the punches while keeping his stance low like a ninkin, and was using the vortex fist from the land of whirlpools. The water clone was dodging with effort since the boy was fast and unpredictable. When Naruto punched, it had a slight twist to it, causing a slight wind nature release and making the fist have more of a piercing damage. His kicks were also fast, and he could easily make feints to keep the enemy shinobi guessing while he searched for an opening. Sakura on the other side used a more power-based kind of fighting style. She kept her limbs closed in order to guard her body, and her punches packed power and flexibility. She was also a fast dodger, waiting for the moment to strike the weakest spot she could find. Shanaro. Sakura snaped as she punched the water clone on the temple hard enough to make his entire head snap to the side. Everyone slightly grimaced at the sound it made, and then Kakashi jumped down and cornered Zabuza with his jutsu. Water waves flooded the bank as two needles pierced Zabuza's neck, rendering him unconscious. The small slim male jumped down. "Thank you, I have been after him for a while now. Just waiting and bidding my time," he stated as he picked up the body and vanished. "Well done my cute little genin." Kakashi praised, making them all beam as he turned to look at them. Sasuke, you stayed back because of his ability to use long-range techniques and was able to place a distraction. Naruto, you and Sakura held the water clone back and all fell into sync with one simple command. Although I do know you all prefer fighting in the front line, you all did great. Kakashi stated, his eye that was usually covered was spinning menacingly. Sasuke stiffened as he saw his family's Dojutsu. Kakashi made a hand sign and Pakken appeared. Deliver this message to the Hokage. Kakashi pulled out a small scroll and wrote down what had occurred and request Anbu to come in and begin an investigation on what the fuck was going on. Pakken nodded as he took the scroll and left. Kakashi clasped his hands and sighed. Welp, I think this is as far as I go. He stated as he passed out. Team 7 was on the boat. Naruto was grinning and looking down at the water. His eyes quietly following the fish. Sakura was sitting beside him holding Naruto's shirt in case he decided to suddenly jump into the water after a fish, not that she was sure he would, but she wouldn't take a chance. That bridge is huge. Naruto whispered as he looked up. Yeah. Sasuke grumbled under his breath before losing interest. The bridge builder watched them all with curiosity. Even he could admit the small kids, as odd as they might be, were good at their profession. Also, it was funny seeing them struggle with their sensei. The Jonin had passed out and according to the runs he was a fucking fattest that probably carried 50 pounds of God knows what because his weight was ridiculous. We are here. The man steering the boat stated and Sakura sighed. Come on Sasuke, Naruto. We have to pick sensei up again. She stated annoyed. She loved weights, but their sensei was a full-fledged Jonin. He weighed a lot. Despite his normal-like appearance, he was a literal fighting machine with so much muscle that it made him weigh a ridiculous amount. Also there was a fact that he had a large amount of heavy weapons on him. The three preteens sighed as they lined up to heave the man up and carry him. Sasuke, you the upper body, Naruto you take the middle, and I will pick his legs up. Sakura stated and they all nodded getting ready to pick him up. 1, 2, 3. Sakura lifted the legs with a bit too much strength and Naruto and Sasuke weren't able to keep up and their sensei somersaulted forward and landed oddly on his face. Ah. Sensei. Sakura squealed in horror. Now you have done it Sakura-chan. Naruto paled and Sasuke face palmed. I thought we were lifting on 3. She protested in defense. I thought we agreed on 1, 2, 3, go. Naruto sweat dropped. You kids need any help? The bridge builder asked in concern as he watched them struggle. It's fine. Kakashi-sensei is an average 190 to 200 pounds due to his heavy muscle mass. Then we have his weapons to account for and he is very well equipped. That adds about 50 pounds, so we have to carry all 240 to 250 pounds. Sakura stated. Unless you can bench press at least 100 it would be hard to help carry him, she finished off saying. I see. Tazuna stated as he looked at Kakashi a bit shocked since he was very built but slim at the same time. We can try rolling him to Tazuna's place. Naruto stated. Okay. Sasuke nodded. Sakura stared at them for a moment as the two idiots in front of her began preparing to roll their sensei. She felt herself facepalm and then smacked them both in the back of the head with an open palm. Both nearly toppled over when Sakura hit them. You idiots. Kakashi-sensei is our superior. If we roll him like that he will skin us alive when he wakes up. He already trains us to death on a good mood, imagine on a bad one. She snicked and they cower in fear. She did a hand sign to release her weights and she got in front of her sensei and cracked her knuckles. The men on my team are all useless. Sometimes you just have to take matters in your own hands, Shanro, she sneered as she grabbed Kakashi by the waist and hoisted him up on her shoulder. Sasuke and Naruto stared in horror at their teammate. You two idiots hold his head and legs up so they don't drag on the ground. She hissed out making them nod in fear. She glanced at Tazuna. Lead the way old man. And Tazuna jumped slightly and nodded. He was horrified, shinobi women were something else. Chapter 17. Third-person point of view. All three genin sat quietly in front of their groggy sensei. My head is killing me. He let out a low groan, his lone eye adjusting to the light in the small room. The three preteens glanced at each other after hearing their sensei's complaint about his head and glanced at each other before Sakura spoke up. Must be because you overexerted yourself, sensei. She stated as she gave a slight shrug. Kakashi glanced at his team with a suspicious glint in his eyes and the two boys' sweat dropped. Out of the three Naruto looked nervous and twitchy. Yeah, it's not like you fell or like we dropped you on your head, sensei. He gave a nervous chuckle. Sakura and Sasuke both sent him a stern look as they were secretly conveying him to shut up. Dropped me, huh? You know what, Naruto, that is exactly what felt like happened. Kakashi hummed as he was slightly pressuring the three to see who would tell him why his head felt like he fell face first from the top of a tree. Sasuke was the next to snap. We of course were 100% able to carry you, Kakashi. Nothing that interesting happened other than Sakura and Naruto being clumsy. They were the ones that let you fall. He stated, looking away, breaking eye contact, while Sakura and Naruto stared with mouth agape at how he threw them under the bus so quickly. Is that so? Kakashi slightly cocked his head as his lone eye fell on both the blonde boy and the pink hair-colored girl. Sakura frowned, this was beyond betrayal, her and Naruto were chopped liver. Look sensei, you were quite heavy and we did not prepare for it, so we did not release our weight seals when we first tried to pick you up. That being said, these two pansies were plotting to roll you in a somersault fashion to Tezuna's house. Being that they are a bit of wimps, I decided to take matters into my own hands and release my weights, pick you up and carry you single-handedly here to Tezuna's house. Since I am so much smaller than you in both height and weight, I could not elevate your body completely so that you would not touch the ground. Hence I asked Naruto and Sasuke to make sure your feet didn't drag too much. She started off. I am sorry if I was too rough while carrying you. You know sensei, you have quite a nice physique in terms of height and your tone. With that being said, sorry, I had to put my hands all over you and not only hurt you but manhandled you. Sakura stated with a stern look, and both boys looked ready to interrupt her and say they did help with carrying Kakashi, although they did not do much. Kakashi shivered at the thought that he had been manhandled by three little preteens. Not only that, but that it was the female student who had to carry him, which made him pause and think of how ridiculous he had probably looked at the time of the events. Oh, how the great have fallen, his Anbu squad would kill for this kind of blackmail material, as a matter of fact they would kill to hear the story in general. Thank you Sakura for being able to take care of me when I passed out from chakra exhaustion. As for you two, what does she mean by suggesting to roll me, he asked as a tick mark appeared on his head and the boy's sweat dropped. He was going to torture those two. Kakashi seemed to be recovering quickly, by their second day there he was already able to move around on his own and he had joined everybody at the table to eat lunch. His team had already gone through the previous events in the battle and had discussed what they believed were Zabuza and the hidden mist hunter ninja's abilities. They had come with the conclusion that Zabuza would be attacking at some time near the future and they were coming up with counter strategies. Kakashi had mentioned that this was a perfect learning opportunity. As a frontline assault squad they had to learn to adapt quickly when new variables appeared in battle. Since they were always going to be the main team that would encounter the enemy and would have to deal with coming up with strategies in the heat of battle, it was a perfect timing to discuss what techniques would work with each of their skills. Also Kakashi made sure neither Tezuna or his daughter heard about the training and most about what they were planning to do since they were civilians. Kakashi was mindlessly listening to his genin have a fierce eating contest and talking about most of that they had been discussing earlier. Of course they were able to talk and incorporate basic Leaf Village sign language as well, so that they could talk about the more sensitive aspects of their training, with having to worry about the civilians listening in about their new training regimen for the time being. That was until the door slammed open to reveal a kid who was probably between 8 to 10 years of age. The boy had a pretty bitter look on his face as he eyed the four weird shinobi in front of him. He looked at them distrustfully, his eyes scanning Kakashi and landed on the masked face. He then turned to Sasuke and Sasuke glared right back, nearly causing the boy to flinch and back off and avoid eye contact. The boy snickered. Grandpa, who are these people? He stated as he looked at Naruto and Sakura with his nose stuck up in the air as he glared at the ninja. Inari, these are the ninja that escorted your grandfather back to us and who will be protecting us. Tsunami stated as she smiled kindly at her son who had just arrived. Inari let out a snort and glared at the genin in front of him. Whatever, Gato will kill them soon enough. He sneered as he sat beside his mother. Inari, you take that back, I'm sorry for what he says. He doesn't mean it. Tsunami stutters out as she scolded her son lightly. No offense taken. Kakashi muttered as he looked at the little kid with no signs of amusement. Honestly, why would you outsiders care about what happens here? I'm surprised you didn't leave when you heard about Gato. He's going to find a way to kill you all. Inari added as he looked at the three. Kakashi looked slightly amused and Sasuke scoffed. As if. He rolled his eyes and continued eating. Inari's face slightly flushed and he slammed his hands on the table. You'll see, you're no match for Gato. The guy is loaded and he will hire someone who's going to end up killing you all. He yelled out in frustration. Look kid, I know where you are coming from. We have it handled, well at least most of it handled. Once our sensei is in fighting shape we will train some more and hopefully we will be able to stop whoever Gato decides to send. Sakura stated in a flat tone. She couldn't help but feel annoyed at the little kid for being so pessimistic. Yeah, what Sakura-chan said. We should be able to make it through this alive. Naruto added as he shrugged. He could see where the kid was coming from, but he didn't have to make it seem like they were going to die. You don't understand what you are talking about. Gato Hizunari was cut off by Sasuke. No. You are the one that is not understanding. You are a civilian, you feel oppressed and know that you are not strong enough to fight off your oppressor. And that is understandable. You were not raised to fight or to endure those kinds of pressures. He started off, irked at the little boy and his ranting about how Gato would kill them all. We are shinobi, unlike you we have been trained in the art of fighting and we have accepted the fact that we could die at any point or time. Just by wearing our headbands other ninja could attack and kill us at any point in time. So yeah, we know we could die. But we knew what lifestyle we were picking ever since we decided to pursue our shinobi career at the tender age of 5. He snorted back at the bratty boy as he pointed his chopsticks toward the little boy. Sasuke team is right. Besides we have ninja parentage as well. That means that our parents were ninja or we were raised by ninja, so for some of us, we were taught the most effective way to kill someone or spit out massive fireballs before we even went to school to learn how to read. Naruto added as he thought back to when he was with his mama. He does have a point, Inari-chan. As weird as it might sound and as non-threatening as we look, we are pretty dangerous ourselves. We also kind of came to terms that we will be fighting for our lives. I mean if it had been bandits attacking your grandfather we would still fight the same. Sakura added sheepishly. Now little minions. Enough talk about dying. Kiro-sen would skin me alive if I were to bring any of you back in a body scroll. Kakashi sighed, patting Naruto and Sakura's head. Naruto purred affectionately. Tsunami and Tazuna stared at the genin team wide-eyed. Tazuna snickered at them, he had been around them enough to be a little more used to their odd ninja ways. No use of worrying about you three punks, you three seem to be harder to kill than weeds. He gave them a small smile, and Kakashi chuckled at how they became flustered with the compliment. Inari looked down looking half embarrassed and angry. Throughout the night the three genin took watch. Kakashi quickly insisted that since they were in a long-term mission, he would show them how to keep watch in enemy territory or when you know that it is unsafe and that there are enemies nearby. Kakashi made sure that his three genin were well fed and had them patrolling Tazuna's home and getting them to make different scenarios, plans and tactics for what they would do if they were attacked by Gato or Zabuza while in the house. They were pairing up watching Tazuna, his daughter and her son. Kakashi would stay with one of them and the other two would go with Tazuna. Throughout the entire time the team made sure to stay well coordinated and paying close attention to their sensei's lessons about long-term high-risk missions. A few days had passed since Inari's outburst, they were once again at the dinner table eating the food that Tsunami cooked when Naruto suddenly froze. What is it, Naruto? Sasuke asked as he saw his teammate stiffen and sniff the air. Someone is approaching the house. They have their chakra pretty well hidden, I could barely sense them. He stated as he glanced up at his sensei. Ah, seems like our backup has arrived. I'm also glad to see that none of you have let your guard down, even if we have had no major activity. A relaxed shinobi, he trailed off as he waited for his team to finish the saying. Is a dead shinobi. The three genin chirped happily. And a paranoid one is a living one. Naruto finished up the saying with a wide grin. At this point Tazuna didn't bat an eye. He was certain now that all four had a few screws loose in their head. I'll be back. I will fill them in and see what our next course of action will be. I will also check and see what will be done about Gato. He stated as he got up and was about to leave. As he walked away his fingers slightly twitched as he silently signed to his team to be on high alert and to await their orders. The three genin slightly glanced at each other and went back to eating, seeming to be relaxed. Kakashi left the small house and quickly met up with the Anbu, they had only deployed a three-man Anbu squad. Kakashi was quick to inform them of the situation and go over what they would do. The three Anbu left to not only gather more up-close information on Gato and his illegal business, but they were getting ready to not only sabotage the man and make sure the village would profit from not only the man's death but of the construction of the bridge. What could they say, even if they seemed nice and soft they were part of a military dictatorship. The Anbu were quick to infiltrate and alter paperwork so that the Land of Waves would receive only enough of Gato's wealth to be able to recover, but the rest was easily wired back to hit Konoha's money vaults. Naruto and Sakura were on patrol duty at the house. Sakura was trying to help, but Tsunami was a bit reluctant to allow the pink-haired girl to help her, since it seemed that Sakura was a walking disaster when it came to cutlery. To everyone's surprise it was Sasuke who was the best cook and talented one in the kitchen. The best Naruto could do was boil water and make ramen, while Sakura was just really bad at cooking. Naruto had been upstairs when the thugs had arrived to the house. He had sensed them when they arrived and was running downstairs when he heard a plate fall and break. When he arrived he saw that Sakura was being held hostage while Tsunami stared at the men in horror. Listen here bitch, come with us or we kill the little girl. Sakura stared at Tsunami with an unamused look. Please don't hurt her. Tsunami stuttered out in fear as the man placed the blade closer to Sakura's throat. Honestly, are you sure you will be doing the killing? She asked in an unamused tone as she grabbed the man's wrist and she began to crush it. He let out a yelp as he let go of the sword and began screaming in pain. Before his partner could react, Naruto delivered a swift kick to the man's temple. The man crashed into the wall and was knocked out. Sakura yanked the man forward and proceeded to elbow him on the jaw hard enough that there was a loud crack. "So tell us, what were you looking to achieve by kidnapping and harming Tsunami-san and Inari-chan?" She sneered as she held the man down. Fuck. The man yelled as he squealed in pain. Maybe snapping your elbows in a better angle will help refresh your memories," Sakura stated with a cool and collected tone. Naruto shivered in terror at how scary Sakura could get. Even if she is cute, she is a monster in sheep clothing. He thought to himself as he slightly stepped back. We were ordered to by Gato so that we could hold them for extra leverage." The man whimpered out in tears and it seemed that he had pissed himself just a little. Sakura nodded and glanced at Naruto. "I see, Naruto. Tie up the other guy. We will let the villagers decide what they want to do with these thugs," she stated, and he quickly nodded and got to work. Inari had watched all of this go down. To say he was not terrified at how easily the small girl crushed the grown man's wrists and pinned him down would be a lie. "Tsunami, Inari, I suggest you two head to the village and get people to help you get these men to a jail or something of that sort. I am sure that the rest of the team is encountering the enemy. Also stay in the village and around others so that you can't be singled out," Naruto stated as he began tying the man with the broken bones up. "Sure, come on Inari. It isn't safe here," Tsunami stated as she led her son outside of their home. "I'll send a shadow clone with you," Naruto grumbled as he made his shadow clone seal and led them out to the village. Once Inari and Tsunami were gone, they left as well. Once alone, Sakura let out a shaky breath and clutched her chest. "That was fucking terrifying," she mumbled as she let out a shaky breath. "What happened?" Naruto asked in concern. "They grabbed Tsunami. I used a replacement jutsu to take her place. To be honest, I was scared, but if I let them know that, then my bluff wouldn't have worked. Remind me not to let some novice idiot hold a katana against my neck like that again," she stated, and Naruto nodded. "Sure, I'll make sure to remind you that next time." He smiled and Sakura grinned at him. "To the bridge?" he asked, and her grin widened even more. "Yeah." When they arrived to the bridge, the masked missing nin was fighting off Sasuke in the distance. Kakashi and Zabuza were having a standoff. "We should aid Sasuke and then proceed to help Kakashi-sensei," Naruto stated, and Sakura nodded. "It isn't like we would be much use in a Jonin fight. But Tazuna also needs to be protected," Sakura added. "I'll watch Tazuna, you help Sasuke." "Deal?" Naruto stated, and Sakura nodded. Both genin hurried off to help out the both of them. Sakura tried to use her above-average strength to burst the mirror, but they turned out to be quite solid and she made sure to be attacking from the outside while Sasuke attacked from the inside. Naruto, on the other hand, had made sure to pull Tazuna away from the Jonin enough that he could protect the old man. He couldn't see much of the battles due to the fog, but it was enough that he would notice if Zabuza was running towards them for a swift decapitation. The fights didn't last much longer before the Anbu arrived and Zabuza was getting overwhelmed by the attacks. "Haku?" he yelled as he made a few shunshin to get away from the barrage of the Anbu and Kakashi. "Hi." Haku was quick as he began making more mirrors that led to where Zabuza was. Sasuke let out a piercing scream and before they could react, Haku had pulled Zabuza in the mirror and they had vanished. The high-leveled shinobi were tensed as they looked around. The fog was beginning to clear and the only thing they could hear was the sounds of Sasuke's muffled cries. Naruto felt his stomach churn at the thought of what could have stirred his teammate to cry, especially Sasuke. They had been friends for long enough that Naruto knew that Sasuke did not cry. "He's gone," Kakashi stated, and at that Naruto left his post to go see what had happened. Sasuke was crying. He was gently pulling out the sebum needles out of Sakura as she laid in his arms. Her light pink hair was sprawled all around her as she laid motionlessly on his lap and his eyes were bright red as he stared down at her. What happened?" Naruto stuttered out. "We were doing well, but when my Sharingan activated my body couldn't keep up and I wasn't going to be able to dodge. She saw this and she came in the dome and pushed me out of the way. She took the blow." Sasuke sniffled as he looked up at Naruto. Naruto fell on his knees, his eyes filling with tears as he looked at his teammate. He could feel his chakra bubble inside of him. Everything had been going so well. They were all becoming friends and although she had been scary at times, he never wanted this to happen to her. Naruto was jolted out of his thoughts when Kakashi placed a hand on his shoulder. He could feel that bubbled up hatred die down. "Let me check on her, I am a medic," one of the Anbu stated as he kneeled down and Sasuke let the medic scan her body. "Her pulse is very low, but she is still alive. Let me treat her, it may take a while to recover, but she should be fine," the Anbu stated and Naruto let out a soft cry of relief. "You heard that, Sakura, you are going to be alright." He smiled with tears streaming down his cheek. So Anbu arrived and drove the missing nin off. And they also killed Gato and managed to disband his illegal businesses. Sakura asked as she was recovering and Tezuna's home resting after a day or so of being unconscious. Yeah, that's what happened. Sasuke said from beside her. Sakura sighed in slight annoyance. Even if she had almost died, it didn't give Sasuke the excuse to being so damn clingy. Even Naruto wasn't this clingy. Sasuke, I am going to be okay. She sighed as she tried to get him off her. He gave her a wary glance, a frown quite clear on his face. I know. He mumbled, looking away slightly. Sakura sighed at her teammate's habits. She could understand that he was worried and terrified due to her near-death experience. I'm going to train harder. He muttered before turning back to her. I'll be stronger so something like this doesn't happen again. He stated as his Sharingan spun lowly. Chapter 18. Third person Pav. I'm going to train harder, haha, I feel like you jinxed us, Sakura muttered as she stretched her muscles and let out a long sigh. Sasuke was laying on his stomach, his cheek on the cool ground, as he let out an audible grunt. How does he do it? He asked, ignoring Sakura's comment as he watched Naruto run suicide lunges while wearing a few gravity seals. DCH, hey Haim, don't ignore me. Sakura scoffed as she lightly kicked her teammate on his side and he let out another grunt. Whatever baka. He huffed, glancing up at her, making her snicker. Sundeer. Well, what are you two doing here? Since you are too tired to continue with your suicide lunges, it is time to work on your acrobatics. Kakashi appeared in front of them, making them groan loudly. It sounds like you want to join Naruto till he is tired and then begin your acrobatics. I don't mind all three of you working on the same task, you know. Kakashi shrugged with a sigh and a carefree expression. The two genin slowly turned to look at their teammate who hadn't even broken a sweat due to his endurance and stamina. No need to worry, sensei, we can go ahead and do those acrobatics, right Sasuke Haim? Sakura smiled as she grabbed Sasuke by the arm and yanked him up like a rag doll. Sasuke held back a grunt, his muscles were aching, and since he had simply thrown himself to the ground without cooling off his muscles, they had become stiff and he was regretting his laziness. Yeah, Ka-sensei. Sasuke stiffened at Kakashi's glare. After the wave mission he had taken to training them twice as hard, which was something that they didn't even know was possible. Kakashi also had addressed Sasuke's disrespectful attitude towards authority and higher-ranked ninjas by making sure he addressed everyone properly, so he was no longer allowed to call Kakashi by only his first name. To say he was having a hard time adjusting to speaking to people properly was an understatement. Sasuke had never really called Kakashi-sensei, much less Kakashi-san, so Kakashi was making sure to beat some manners into him. So since Sasuke had never really used honorifics with anyone but the Hokage, it was a running joke that his new nickname was Haim. Since he could indeed act like a spoiled princess and was a bit of a tsundere, so the nickname fit him well. Come on Haim. Sakura stated as she dragged Sasuke, and he rolled his eyes at the nickname. At this point he wasn't even trying to get them to stop anymore, even their sensei had started to join his airheaded and muscle-headed teammates in the stupid nickname. Fine. He grumbled as he followed behind Sakura and began stretching his limbs to try and get the stiffness out of them. Kakashi watched his team work out. They were all drenched in sweat and he couldn't help but sigh. He couldn't help but sigh as he thought of what had happened recently. Flashback. The council was being troublesome as usual. They had just summoned him and he couldn't help but feel as if the meeting was going to be giving him a nasty headache. He arrived at the tower and entered the double doors. Danzo Shimura was seated in the chairman's seat, overviewing the meeting that was being held, and Kakashi already knew that they would be spewing bullshit. He glanced around and noticed that there were no shinobi clan heads, and that only the elected civilian council members and merchant council members were there, along with the three walking headaches that included Danzo, Himura and Kaharu. I was called. Kakashi spoke as he bowed slightly. It took all of his willpower not to groan in irritation. Last time that they had summoned him like this was when they asked him to pass Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno as apprentices. The unsaid command being that he failed Naruto and either make him drop out of the academy or send him back. Do these idiots not realize that I don't give a shit and that I won't do what they ask of me? He thought to himself. At ease, soldier. Danzo spoke smugly as he waved his hand slightly. Kakashi straightened up and placed his hands in his pockets as he looked at the elder council in disinterest. As you know, the time has come once more for the Chunin exams to be held, and this time it will be held here in Konoha. Danzo began his long and annoying speech. So the council has been discussing ways to raise more money now that we will have an influx of tourists and merchants from around the nations. What better way to bring publicity than to show off our last loyal Uchiha? Knowing your training methods and the successful missions that team has carried out, we trust that you place the Uchiha in the exams. Danzo stated with a sly smirk. Ah yes, my genin team, they are more than ready to take the Chunin exams. Kakashi stated with a nod. Danzo's grin widened at Kakashi's reply, believing that Kakashi understood that he wanted him to put Sasuke in the Chunin exam. We look forward to seeing the show then, Kakashi. Danzo smirked. Kakashi looked out of the corner of his eye to see the civilians whispering amongst themselves in excitement about the last Uchiha in the Chunin exams. "You're dismissed," Danzo stated, and Kakashi shunted away. Kakashi sighed as he looked at his three little students. "That's enough. Go ahead and rest at Kiro-san's home. We will continue training later on today after I run some errands," Kakashi stated, and the lot of them slumped to the ground. Kakashi snickered. "Go and have lunch, I will be back later. Also don't forget your cool down routine, and yes, that includes you too, Haim," Kakashi stated, looking directly at Sasuke, who snorted and rolled his eyes. Kakashi left and quickly headed to the tower. He slipped into the Hokage's office, ignoring the looks of disbelief of other shinobi as they noticed how late he was. "Now that we have gone over the security measures that will be taken and patrols that will be put in place, all Jonin senseis and Chunin captains, please move forward in order to start the Genin team nominations," the old Hokage stated as he noticed Kakashi had just arrived and was looking at him with a glint of amusement. All of the Jonin senseis stepped forward with the Chunin captains flanking them at their left and a step behind them. All of them stood at attention as they were in front of their military leader. "Sound off," starting from the left. "Do you nominate your Genin team for the upcoming Chunin exams?" And with that, all of the personnel that had stepped forward began to give their nomination or decline the nomination and their reasoning behind their choice. Iruka was quick to take note of what they were saying for documentary purposes. "I, Might Guy, nominate Team 9, which consists of Tenten, Niji Hyuga and Rock Lee for the upcoming Chunin exams. I held them back last time, but this time I am sure that they will be better prepared for the exams." Guy gleamed with a bright smile as he gave a thumbs up, but he still stood in attention even with his weird quirkiness. Other teams gave their nominations and declined before Asuma was called. "I, Asuma Saratobi, nominate Team 10, which consists of Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara and Choji Akimichi. It would be best if they have their first exam in their home front. It will also serve as experience," Asuma stated, and the Hokage nodded. Iruka slightly stiffened at the nomination and was about to protest, but decided to wait until the formal procedure finished before voicing his opinion. Another two Chunin captains nominated their team before Kurenai was called on. "I, Kurenai Yuhi, nominate Team 8, consisting of Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka and Shino Aburam. As Asuma-san mentioned earlier, it would be best for their first test be in the home front, and even if it knocks them down a few pegs, they will be motivated to train harder in the future," she stated, giving a firm nod. The Hokage then looked to Kakashi, who sighed lazily and scratched the back of his head. "For my team, Team 7, which consists of Sakura Haruno, Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha, I will not be nominating my team for the Chunin exams," he stated. There were quiet whispers in the background and a couple of shocked gasps. "And your reasoning?" the old Hokage asked, and Kakashi grinned. "I do not doubt their abilities to pass the exam, but being a Chunin is more than just combat skills alone. To be a Chunin, they must be able to safely guide other Chunin and even Genin through missions. And although I do not doubt their skills in that regard, I do feel that they are quite a high-profile team, and I do not wish to expose them to other countries till I am sure they can protect themselves. I do hope you understand what I mean, Hokage-sama," he stated as he looked at the Hokage, who nodded. "I see your reasoning, Kakashi," he stated, and looked to the next shinobi who was standing by Kakashi. Everyone was looking at Kakashi. It was no secret that Team 7 was able to complete an AR rank mission with no casualties and hardly any serious injuries. Most couldn't deny the fact that Kakashi was correct. The last Uchiha, the Kyuubi brat and a councilman's daughter, was quite a high-profile team, and if other countries got interested in them, that would be bad. Especially Kumo, with how they were bloodline thieves. Soon enough, the shinobi had finished nominating their teams when Iruka spoke up. "Hokage-sama, if I may speak?" Iruka asked, and the old man nodded. "Team 8 and 10 are rookies. I was their academy teacher and they aren't ready for the exams," Iruka protested, and Asuma snorted. "That was in the academy. They have grown quite a bit. They are no longer the same brats they used to be," Asuma stated, and Iruka sneered slightly. Kakashi took that as his cue to slip out of the office. He gave the Hokage a bow and the old man nodded in acknowledgement, and with that Kakashi silently slipped out of the tower. Kakashi was walking down the main road with a sigh. He had a small smile on his face. There was nothing he loved more than to piss off the civilian council. Honestly, as if he was going to listen to them. They must be a special breed of stupid. But that meant that he had to make sure his cute little monsters understood why he had not nominated them. If they were to pass, it could not only break the team apart and they would go to higher risk missions. Also, there was no need to rush their promotion, they would get it in due time. He signed out at the gate and headed out to Kiro-san's home. As he arrived, he knocked lightly on her door before letting himself in. "We are in the dining room, sensei," Naruto called out as Kakashi let his presence be known. "Hello Kiro-san." Kakashi greeted and the wolf perked up and gave him a smile as he sat down beside Sakura, who was already digging into the food with much gusto. "Mama says that she wants us to do shuriken just to outside after we eat and stretch again. Then that we would work on chakra control." Naruto stated and Kakashi nodded. "That will be fine." He stated as he served himself some food. The three genin were watching their sensei in hopes of catching a glance at their sensei's face. But it seemed pointless when they were still unable to see his face as they ate. They all groaned and gave their sensei heated glares as they ate quietly. "I guess I will be leaving you in Kiro-san's capable hands for the rest of the afternoon. Tomorrow we will take missions and train in the afternoon," he stated as he let out a sigh. "Kakashi-san, when will they receive their official genin uniform?" Kiro asked, and the three genin stopped eating and looked at both their sensei and Kiro-san. "Official genin uniform?" Sasuke asked and Kakashi nodded. "Just like Chunin and Jonin there is an official genin uniform, although unlike the Chunin uniform and Jonin one they don't enforce or require you guys to wear it all the time." "Wait, there's a difference between the Chunin and Jonin vest?" Naruto asked confused and Kakashi nodded. Jonin vest have 4 scroll pockets on each side of the vest, unlike the Chunin standard 3 on each side. Also the collar is a bit different. There is not much difference so that enemy shinobi have a hard time telling them apart. Which is a way for them not to target the Chunin to try and throw off the team dynamics or to target the Jonin to collapse the chain of command. Kakashi stated and the three genin nodded. "Well, what's the difference between the Chunin and genin attires?" Sakura asked. "The genin vest have the 3 scroll pockets but it also does not have the collar and it has a more protective shoulder pads. But usually you have to be a genin for 6 to 12 months before they assign the uniform to you. There are some who drop out within the first 6 months, so it's better not to assign the uniform before we are sure you will remain a genin," Kakashi stated and the 3 of them nod. "So when will we be getting our uniform?" Sasuke asked. "You will be getting them soon, Haim. So don't concern yourselves with it." Kakashi waved his hand in slight dismissal and Sasuke rolled his eyes at the nickname. Sakura and Naruto were walking side by side. "So are you going to play ninja with us, boss?" Konohamaru and his friends asked, giving him the puppy eyes. "A ninja playing ninja?" Sakura teased and Naruto's face flushed. "Come on Sakura, don't be like that," he grumbled with a pout. She lifted her hands up and gave a smile. "I'm not saying anything." She smiled and Konohamaru snickered. "Don't listen to her, boss. She isn't even that cute with her manly arms and massive forehead," he stated loudly and Sakura stiffened. "Manly arms, massive forehead." She sneered, her cheeks flushing red in anger. "Why, you little brat. I can definitely show you some manners and teach you how to speak to a lady." Konohamaru slowly backed away and gulped. Mogi and Yuden stepped back as well as they saw the pink-haired girl crack her knuckles. "Run!" Konohamaru yelled as he scrambled away, his 2 friends following behind him as Sakura took off behind him. As they were turning the corner there was a loud squeak. Sakura glanced at Naruto with a worried glance and they moved quicker. "Let him go." Mogi squeaked with tears in her eyes. Let the kid down," Sakura stated as she cocked her head to the side. "The squirt needs to learn some manners." The older boy wearing black puppeteer clothing sneered at her. "I hope you aren't deaf," she said to let him go. Naruto growled out as he stood in a bit of a defensive stance. The blonde girl in the group were looking at the 2 opposing genin up and down. "Kankuro, let it go. He won't be happy with us if we cause too much trouble," she stated and Kankuro snickered as he held up Konohamaru higher. There was a snicker and a rock hit Kankuro's hand, making him let go of Konohamaru. The puppeteer hissed and held his hand as he looked up and glared at the guy who was nestled in the trees. Well, thanks Haim." Sakura grinned as she looked up at her teammate who rolled his eyes. "Whatever baka." He snickered as he looked at his pink-haired teammate. Konohamaru scrambled away and hid behind Sakura. "Ni-chan, protect me." Konohamaru whimpered and she scoffed. "So now I am Ni-chan, huh?" She flipped her short hair back. "Damn brats. Someone ought to teach you some manners." Kankuro growled, pulling on the large bulky item from his back. "Kankuro, stop. If he finds out I'm not going to intervene," the blonde girl stated as she backed up. All of Team 710 got in a defensive stance. "Kankuro." A low voice came from behind Sasuke and he was quick to move away from the tree and face the person who had snuck up behind him. "You dishonor our village." The red-haired boy spoke as he ignored Sasuke. He transported himself in front of Sakura and Naruto. "I do apologize for his actions." The red-haired boy bowed as he spoke. Naruto couldn't help but stare at the boy and grimace. There was something that seemed off about the boy. His hand had subconsciously touched his stomach and he felt a flare of chakra within himself. There was something he didn't like about the boy and also familiar. He was definitely asking Kakashi-sensei and his mama about this encounter. It's fine, anyway what are you Sand Shinobi doing here anyway? Sakura asked in a stern tone. TCH, we are here to take the Chunin exams. The blonde girl held up her travel papers. Chunin exams? Sasuke muttered as he looked at the travel papers from afar. Don't you know? Or have you guys been under a rock? The girl grinned and Sakura scoffed. It was a valid question, for all we know you guys were here for a mission to deliver someone or something. She stated and grinned. But you guys must have some massive balls. Attacking the honorable grandson of the third Hokage who isn't even more than 7 years old, but a civilian no less, and not only in broad daylight, but in front of shinobi. They might be trying to start some international conflict. Sasuke caught the teasing gleam in Sakura's eye. Wow, by the Shodai's balls, Sand Shinobi have no self-preservation. Naruto snickered with a foxy grin. The blonde girl slightly stepped back as she stared at the little boy who hid behind the pink-haired girl. We didn't know. Kankuro stated looking at Konohamaru who stuck his tongue out. Well then maybe you shouldn't be hostile in a village that isn't your own. Sasuke stated as he crossed his arms. I will make sure they do not cause any more trouble. Please excuse us. The red-haired one stated as he bowed once more and began walking away. Before you go, what is your name? Sasuke asked and the girl pointed at herself. I am Temari of the Sand. She introduced herself and Sasuke shook his head and he pointed at the red-haired one. The one beside you. He stated. Gara of the Sand. He stated not looking back. His two teammates followed after him. Naruto let his grin fall when they were out of sight. That guy, he is no pushover. There was something really off about him. He stated as he patted Konohamaru's head. Yeah, Konohamaru you best be careful with the foreign shinobi in the village. Sakura stated as she patted the boy's head. I will Ni-chan. He stated and Sakura rolled her eyes. Scram brat. She snickered. All of Team 7 had gathered for their daily training session. Now my cute little students first we will start off with doing a couple of D-ranked missions before we proceed to today's training. Kakashi stated and his genin stared at him intently. What? He asked a bit set off at how his little genin were staring at him. Anything special you need to talk to us about Kak-sensei? Sasuke corrected himself as he crossed his arms and stared at his sensei. Well I don't know I am pretty sure I've kept you pretty updated. Kakashi stated sheepishly as he rubbed the back of his head. Sensei, we are talking about the Chunin exams. Sakura groaned with a pout. Ah the Chunin exams. What about it? He placed a finger on his chin. Sasuke snickered loudly. We want to know if you nominated us. He crossed his arms and was tapping his foot in annoyance. Ah so that's what you three want to know. Kakashi stated as he looked at his genin. I did not nominate you guys for this Chunin exams. He stated his voice monotoned and a calculating look in his eye. But why? Sakura looked slightly disappointed, Naruto also looked upset nearly whimpering. Good question. Now let's see, why don't you three try to come up with a few reasons on why I probably did this. Now before you start spouting ideas I will give you a bit of context. Alright. He stated and they all looked at each other and then back at their sensei. The Chunin exams are an international exam. All of the villages send their best and most skilled shinobi to these exams. There is a high mortality rate and many shinobi do get career-ending injuries. Now not only are they international, but the best preforming genin might end up catching another nation's eye as a possible threat. So with that bit of information can you come up with conclusions on why I did not nominate you? Take your time to come with a response and you can talk about it amongst yourselves. Kakashi stated and the three genin nodded and huddled together. Well let's start off with the basic and most obvious reasons. Sakura stated as she crossed her arms. Well there is a chance we die or get very injured during the exams. Naruto stated as he scratched his ear. Yeah, and it's an international event meaning villages we aren't that friendly with will be there. Sasuke stated and Sakura hummed. Meaning that they will actively try to kill and sabotage competitors. She added and the three of them nodded. Sensei, did you not nominate us because of the high mortality rate? Sakura spoke up as she looked at their sensei. Not nominate you due to the mortality rate. Who knows? He shrugged and they let out a groan. He is not going to be straightforward if we don't have other theories. Sasuke stated. Good point Haim. Kakashi stated and he scoffed slightly. Brets, he did mention that other countries might see us as a threat. Could it be so that we aren't placed in a bingo book? Sasuke is the last Uchiha and Sakura is the daughter of a Konoha councilman. We might be skilled in some aspects, but it would do us no good to get a bounty. It would only make missions outside of the village harder. Naruto stated and the other two nodded. So exposure to other countries and the high mortality rate. Sakura stated with a nod. But there must be more to this than just those two reasons. What if we could pass the exams or if we don't all pass? Would the team split up? Sakura added, and they all looked at each other and frowned. I'm comfortable in this team, I don't think I want to break the team apart just yet. Sasuke stated with a frown. You three are coming up with some interesting theories, and I will not say that they are incorrect. I do want to keep you out of the public eye, and there is also the fact that Sasuke and Sakura would be massive targets in the more violent part of the exams, but there are other genin who are also very high profile who will be participating. Kakashi stated, and the three of them paid close attention to their sensei. Chunin must have the ability to lead a squad of genin and other Chunin. I feel as though you would need more experience in order to do this. That in the civilian council is pretty hell-bent on having Haim in the exams. Kakashi stated, and both his teammates glanced at Sasuke. I wasn't going to enter you in the first place, but seeing their determination to manipulate shinobi affairs gave an extra reason to piss them off. He added with a shrug, and the three of them sweat dropped. But no worries, since you are not participating it means more training time. So I will give you a week to find a shinobi skill you want to learn, and I will give you individual training for it. He stated with a smile. Really, sensei? Sakura smiled with stars in her eyes, and Kakashi nodded as he pat her head. Yup, so make sure you pick carefully and make sure to give me reasons on why you want to learn that skill and how it can help your team dynamic in future endeavors. I will not teach you the skill if they do not fit those criteria of usefulness. Understood. He crossed his arms, and the three genin smiled. Hi sensei. Chapter 19. Third person Pav. So what skill will you be asking Kakashi sensei to teach you? Sakura asked as she walked alongside her teammates. Kiro-sen was out for a mission and they were going to go get Barbek. Fuinjutsu, Mama mentioned that the Uzumaki clan were famous for their sealing abilities. I want to see if I can try my hand at it. All Uzumaki are supposed to have a knack for it. Naruto stated with a smile. Sounds reasonable, what about you Haim? Sakura asked as she glanced over at Sasuke. Ninjutsu? He stated with a shrug. Why not medical ninjutsu? She asked with a pout. I've told you I have no interest in being the team medic nor a support fighter. I want close and mid-range fighting styles. Sasuke stated with a huff. DCH, I really wanted you to become the medic, you have great chakra control, and with your eyes you would make an amazing medic. She pouted and slung herself dramatically over him on his back. Sakura, you have great control and you have strength. Why don't you try to be our medic? Out of the three of us you are the only one that hasn't decided what skill you want to learn. Naruto stated and she huffed. You aren't wrong but honestly, can you imagine seeing me as a medic? Sakura stated with a sigh. You would have horrible bedside manners and you might have been smart at the academy but nowadays you are more of a musclehead. Sasuke stated with a scoff. Hey, you might be able to keep some ninja in the hospital so maybe you would be able to use all that muscle. Naruto stated. I see your point. Sakura stated getting off of Sasuke. Seems like the Chunin exams will be starting soon. Sasuke muttered as he glanced at the academy which had foreign shinobi entering the building. Yeah. Naruto stated as he watched the building from afar. Sasuke-kun. There was a loud shrill that brought them out of their thoughts. Sakura felt a pull on her chakra and a body latch onto her arm and she slowly turned over to see a shrilling blonde girl hugging her arm. Wow, Sasuke-kun, you have certainly put some muscle on ya. Ino swooned as she held onto Sakura's arm. She was frozen in shock as she looked at Ino. Ino, that's not Sasuke. Shikamaru broke Ino out of her musing. She looked up to see Sakura staring at her wide-eyed and agape. Naruto and Sasuke were holding back their laughter at the scene. A substitution jutsu, hollow blow to use Sakura instead of a log. Naruto snickered with a chuckle. Ino spluttered and stumbled back. Forehead. What the hell? She yelled as she turned a bright red. Why the hell would you change spots with Sasuke-kun? She screeched indignantly. Sakura blushed and crossed her arms. Pig, I didn't switch spots with him, he switched with me to get away from you. Ino spluttered. As if. Besides, why would Sasuke-kun want to be with someone with manly arms like you? She hissed and Sakura flushed. I do not have man arms. Just because you and all the wimpy men here take no pride in your physique and have the muscle mass of a noodle doesn't mean that I will lower the standards of my physical workouts to fit your pathetic views on beauty. Sakura started off as she flexed her muscles. Shikamaru, Choji and Ino's mouth dropped open as she flexed her muscles. What the hell? Shikamaru stammered. Sasuke, Haim and Nor-chan can't even beat me in raw strength. Honestly, Ino, pig, you should see them complaining about little weights. Sakura was about to start ranting about working out and jutsu training. We get it, musclehead, you don't have to start ranting about protein shakes and weight training. Sasuke snorted, kicked her shin only for him to hurt his toe, and he let out a groan and held his foot. Neri-chan, Haim is acting up again. She hissed as she held her leg. Haim-chan, we have talked about attacking your teammates physically and or verbally. Naruto sighed as he lectured Sasuke. Anyway, are you guys going to go take the exams? Naruto asked and Shikamaru seemed to break out of his state of shock. Yeah, we are actually heading to the academy now. He stated he was friends with Naruto and Sasuke since the academy days, but they seemed to be more open now and Sasuke was much less reserved. Ah well, in that case good luck, quick warning though, watch out for the sand teams. Ran into them earlier and they don't seem like the most companionable. Sakura stated as she let go of her shin. Wait, you guys are not participating? Ino gasped glancing over at Sasuke. Kakashi-sensei decided it would be best if we didn't. Also it is rare for rookie to participate and while you guys are in the exams our sensei promised us specialized training, we aren't really missing much. Sasuke shrugged and Naruto nodded. But hey, make sure to look good out there and show foreign shinobi that Konoha Kunoichi are to be feared and deadly. So go out there and represent. Sakura chuckled as she gave Ino a pat on the back, she nearly caused Ino to fall face first into the dirt. Yeah. Ino replied nervously. Anyway, we have to go, bye guys, and tell us if you pass. Naruto grinned as Team 7 began to leave. Alright my little gumdrops. Tell me the skill you want to learn, the reason why it would suit you, and what it can help you with in the future. Kakashi began as he stood in front of his genin. I'll go first. Naruto pipped up and Kakashi motioned for him to continue. I want to learn Fuinjutsu. Not only is it part of my clan, but I feel like not only will it be a great skill to invest in, but there are not many practitioners of the art and it can be used for trap making, which is a skill I want to learn more about in the future. He stated and Kakashi nodded. Okay, what about you, Haim? Kakashi asked and Sasuke snorted slightly and crossed his arms. What I want to learn is Kenjutsu. Not only is it a mid to close range skill, but I believe it would be a great fit with my Sharingan. With my speed and my reaction time I know I will be able to make good use of this skill. He stated with a nod. Kakashi hummed and then looked at Sakura who grunted. Genjutsu. I was going to ask you for medical skills, but I can easily apply for an apprenticeship in the hospital, which is something I will be doing in the near future. I have great chakra control as you know with my current build any other shinobi can't tell I focus on Taijutsu. But with Genjutsu it will balance out my skills which will make me very versatile. She answered. Also it would make me a close and long-distance fighter. Sasuke and Naruto have ninjutsu to back the team up if they need to, but I do not currently have anything that would give me a long-distance advantage. It would be a waste not to try Genjutsu. She finished off. Kakashi sighed. You guys really put some thought into this. Naruto Fuinjutsu is in your clan and it is possible that you will understand it better than other ninjas, I also practice the art as well. Not the best or even a master, but I can get you started on the basics and in the future I will look and see if our village's seal master can take you on afterward. He spoke calmly as he regarded his blonde student. Sasuke, your Sharingan will not only benefit from using a sword, but with your dexterity and speed, you would do great with a katana or tanto. Luckily for you I am a bit of a Kenjutsu expert and I can easily get you started, especially with the added Sharingan. I personally used a tanto since I graduated when I was about 5 and as a preteen, I used either a tanto or katana as my main weapon. He added as he turned and looked at Sasuke which got him a small smile. Sakura, I am no Genjutsu expert but I do know a few and how it works so I can get you started with what I know. Once I have taught you all I know about these skills, then I will be looking for a teacher that can finish your training for you, alright? He asked and she eagerly nodded. Great. So let's get started. First I'll make a few water clones and we can begin the work. Sasuke and Sakura, you will go with the clones. Naruto, you will go with the real me. He stated and the team split. Kakashi looked down at his student and sighed a bit. He was leading him to the edge of the field. So what are we going to do, sensei? Naruto asked and Kakashi hummed. Before we get started on your Fuinjutsu studies, there is a couple of things we need to talk about. Kakashi stated as they left the training ground. But before I can start teaching you higher level jutsu and before you can progress more as a ninja, there are a few things we need to cover. Kakashi stated. I've spoken with the Hokage and we have come to the conclusion that you are finally old and mature enough for some important information. He stated glancing down at Naruto. Naruto scrunched his nose. What important information? He asked and Kakashi hummed. You'll know soon enough. But right now we have a meeting with Lord Third. He stated as they walked to the Hokage tower. Naruto noticed how stiff his sensei was acting and couldn't help but become nervous. What kind of information were they going to tell him? How come Sasuke and Sakura weren't being told? It was his sensei was acting that had him on edge. In no time they were in the Hokage tower and climbing up the stairs. Naruto could not help but feel nervous about what they were going to talk about. Kakashi knocked on the door for the Hokage office and waited for the response. Come in. The old Hokage stated and Kakashi pushed the door open. Naruto wanted to shake his nerves off, and just as he was about to greet the Hokage like he usually did, but when he noticed the old man's desk had been cleared from the paperwork and that the Hokage was waiting on him. "Ah, Naruto, please come in, sit down." The old man was looking at his surrogate grandson. Naruto felt nervous again and took a seat in front of the Hokage. "Kakashi, please shut the door." The Hokage ordered as he made a hand sign for the Anbu to keep a watch to make sure there was no eavesdropping. "So how has your training been?" He started off. "I've been training really hard, Gigi." Naruto smiled. And the Hokage smiled as he noticed Naruto wasn't as nervous. "Good, good. Now there is a few things we need to talk about." He sighed, to be honest this was a talk that he had not been looking forward to. "Now Naruto, tell me what do you know about the Kyuubi attack?" The Hokage asked and Naruto frowned. "The fourth killed it after it attacked the village." Naruto stated, slightly confused at the question. The old Hokage nodded at the response. "The story is true, but certain events were changed in the official announcements." The old man stated as he looked at Naruto. "You see, a Biju can't be killed. They are massive constructs of chakra, and even if they are defeated they would just reappear in a few years." He stated as he sighed. "I'll start from the beginning so that you know the history that comes with what I am going to tell you." He stated with a serious look. "There are 9-tailed beasts, each major village has one of the beast or more. Lord first fought against the Kyuubi, but even he could not fully destroy it. His wife Lady Mito Uzumaki used her skill as a Fuinjutsu master to seal the beast inside of her body. She was the first Jinchuriki, otherwise known as human sacrifices. And for a long time she kept the demon at bay, but as she got older, she knew she would have to pass the burden down to someone younger. And so your mother was sent to our village by our sister village Uzugakure to take up Lady Mito's mantle." The old man stated as he took his pipe and began to fill it up with tobacco. "This was before the fall of the great Uzumaki clan and our sister village. Your mother Uzumaki Kushina was a bright kunoichi who joined our village to be our Jinchuriki, but between the ending of the Second War and the beginning of the Third, your mother's village was razed to the ground by alliance of Kumo, Mizu and Iwa." He continued and began lighting up his pipe. "Although heartbroken at the loss of her village and family, your mother stayed and continued to hold the beast that Lady Mito sealed inside of her. The Uzumaki were targeted because of their massive chakra reserves and mastery in Fuinjutsu. They also had a few Kekkei Genkai in their ranks. This caused other villages to fear them even if they were a one-clan village. Your mother was different, her reserves were massive even compared to the other clan members, and she had the heavenly chakra chain bloodline, which would help her against the Kyuubi if it ever escaped." Naruto was staring at the Hokage wide-eyed, questions swirled in his head, wondering about his birth mother who came from a clan that was feared. He couldn't help but wonder if she was still alive. Her status as a Jinchuriki was kept a secret from the rest of the village, and she was one of our elite shinobi. When she found out she was pregnant with you, she was so happy and to be honest, she would talk about you non-stop. But the only downside was the seal she had that kept the Kyuubi at bay weakens when the host is pregnant, so we took extra security measures. It was a tragedy, we do not know how, but while she was giving birth to you the seal broke. Even with the heightened security and with Lord Fourth himself watching the seal, the Kyuubi managed to escape. My wife and many others that were there to help with the birth died when the demon escaped." The old man took a puff of his pipe. "It was a fierce battle, I wish I could tell you exactly what happened, but everybody that was present died except for you." He looked at the boy with a serious expression. "When the beast is removed from the host's body they die immediately, but your mother, the strong valiant kunoichi, kept herself alive in order to protect you, and even as she held you in her arms, she single-handedly held down the Kyuubi with her chains. We think she was going to drag the beast with her to death." He took another drag of his pipe. "The other beast can be sealed into any person as long as they are old enough and have developed chakra coils, but the Kyuubi's chakra is too strong to be held by anybody but in Uzumaki. In last efforts the Yondaime and your mother sealed the Kyuubi in the gut of an infant Uzumaki, in other words, it was sealed inside of you. It was a miracle, you were only an hour or so old. Your chakra should have collapsed in the ceiling. But your mother was a Fuin master and the fourth was a genius. How they did it we will never know. The Yondaime and your mother protected you, to be honest, we think your mother might have survived if she had not used her body to stop the Kyuubi's claw from killing you. The Yondaime and your mother were stabbed through the chest by the massive claws. The Yondaime only lived long enough to seal the beast inside of you. Your mother, even as her organs were pooled around her and barely had any chakra left. She held onto you and rocked you in her arms, making sure to soothe you from the pain you felt from having the Kyuubi sealed inside of you." The Hokage let out a stream of smoke. Naruto listened, his body trembled as tears fell down his cheeks, and he hiccuped. "By the time the barrier that the Yondaime had placed disappeared and I arrived. She was only hanging on until you were safe. She handed you over to me, told me your name and informed me of your status as a Jinchuriki, and she finally let herself pass away once you were in my arms," he finished off, and Naruto was sobbing at this point. "My mom, so she's dead." Naruto hiccuped and the old man nodded. "Yes, Kushina-chan did not survive. She would have been so proud of you, my boy. You're a splitting image of her. Loud, boisterous and full of life." The old man stood up and walked around his desk and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "And so, the Kyuubi. It is inside of me?" he asked, and the old man nodded as he took Naruto into his arms and engulfed him in a hug. "Yes, I wanted you to have a normal childhood, so we tried to keep the story contained. I passed a law that prevented anyone from speaking about you becoming the Jinchuriki. But someone leaked the story and it spread like wildfire. Jinchuriki are usually feared because they not only become strong shinobi, and ignorant people who do not understand seals think that the demon might influence the host," the old man stated as he held the crying boy. "I tried to keep you safe, but there was little I could do. We can't just kill off half of our population to keep them from acting on their ignorant beliefs," the old Hokage stated. "She loved me, didn't she?" he asked, and the old man nodded. "You were like her son. I don't think I ever saw a mother love her child as much as she loved you. Even when you weren't even born, she loved you with all of her heart." The man patted his head and Naruto wiped his tears and placed a hand on his stomach. What about my father? Where is he?" Naruto asked as he looked up at the old man. "I'll tell you about him when you are older, when you become Chunin. He also passed away before your mother, but he was a strong shinobi who had many enemies. Your mother married him in secret so that she would be safe from his enemies. And even at that time she was elite jonin, so for now I will not tell you of him," he added, and Naruto frowned but nodded. Okay," he mumbled. "So what does it mean to be a Jinchuriki?" he asked as he looked at the old man with a determined look. "Some villages look at them like weapons, but I could never see you like that. You are a proud Konoha ninja. When you are older you will learn to use the Kyuubi's chakra to protect the village. Just like your mother and Lady Mito did." He ruffled the boy's hair. "Your status is a closely guarded secret. Other villages must not know until you are strong enough to defend against them. But only you will have say on who you will tell. I believe that you can find allies you can trust enough with this secret of yours," he stated as he placed a book on his lap. Naruto looked down and opened the book. It was a picture album. There were pictures of a red-haired girl with a bright smile. He slowly flipped through the pages as he looked at the pictures. She had solo pictures and some with other people, but she was beautiful with her long red hair, light-colored skin and violet eyes. "Is this?" Naruto trailed off and the old man nodded. "We cleared out her home and kept most of her possessions for you to inherit her things when you were old enough. There is even a Uzumaki temple where she lived. I can take you to it. It is in good condition. I made sure to keep up the maintenance for you," he stated, and Naruto ran his finger over the pictures. "There were also a lot of Uzumaki heirlooms she was able to recover after the fall of your village. But even if you do not move there you can take things to your home with Kiro-san. I just want you to promise to protect it. Most are invaluable heirlooms that can never be remade due to the fall of Yuzu," he added, and Naruto nodded. "Thank you, Jiji." Naruto hugged the Hokage tightly. Naruto followed Kakashi and the Hokage as they led him to the Uzumaki temple. "Kakashi-sensei, did you know her? My mother, that is?" he asked as they walked. Kakashi hummed and sighed. "I did. I was orphaned when I was very young. Around 5 years old, it was after my father's suicide that I met her. I thought she was pretty loud, eccentric and well scary. She used to force me to call her Kushina-ni," Kakashi stated as he looked down at his student. "I was one of the few people who knew she was pregnant and that was invited to the private ceremony of your father and mother." Kakashi's throat felt tight as he spoke. "I never found out if you had lived or died. The third war had recently ended and I had lost my teammates. Lost to many people in a short amount of time. The second I saw the Kyuubi I knew your mother was dead or dying. I assumed you died with her since I did not know she was giving birth. I thought you died alongside her, and with the chaos and rebuilding the village, I did not give myself any hope. I was too busy with missions and well, a lot happened," Kakashi stated as he looked away. "Can you imagine my shock when the Hokage gave me the file of my potential team and I see the name Naruto Uzumaki, the name your parents had picked out for you. I knew there was a blonde demon boy but never placed any attention to it," he stated, not daring to look at the boy. He had known about Naruto a few years ago, but how could he bring himself to care for the child of his sensei and his wife? Especially when everyone he got too close to died. He had been surprised that guy was not 6 feet under at some point. Naruto looked at his sensei and nodded. "But I am glad you survived." Kakashi ruffled his student's hair as they arrived at the temple. The place was a bit worn but still in good condition. Naruto took a deep breath and walked forward as he entered the temple. When he entered he saw a massive room with masks on the wall. Kakashi and the Hokage watched as Naruto looked around in awe. This is the main temple, the temple of masks. In the back there are living quarters. Come. The old Hokage stated and Naruto followed. Naruto looked at his mother's home with wide eyes. There were bookshelves full of scrolls. Papers were stuck on the wall with handwritten notes, and there were pictures. Naruto looked at the place with a soft sad smile. As he looked he noticed a family portrait. There were many red-haired people crowded around his mother, all dressed in elegant kimonos. That is your grandfather, Uzumaki. The Uzukijin clan head of the Uzumaki, and that is your grandmother Chika, the matriarch of your clan. Your aunts and uncles are there as well. Hitomi the eldest daughter, Jimmy your uncle, Kaido another uncle, and then your mother. They were all part of the main branch of your family. The Hokage stated. Can I keep the photo? He asked and the old man nodded. Naruto took the picture off the wall and a small smile spread across his face. What if Naruto has a wolf partner? End here and thanks for watching my video till the end.